2.3% in May, compared with a year ago, up from just 2.1% in April. The White House applauding a Supreme Court ruling allowing states to bar Planned Parenthood collecting Medicaid money for health services.
The president has always maintained that Americans should not be forced to violate their conscience and their religious liberty by having their tax dollars fund abortions, and we're glad the Supreme Court ruled on that side.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt on the case out of South Carolina. Today, the final day of the High Court's current term. The justices are set to release a half dozen rulings, including one regarding President Trump's attempt to deny birthright citizenship to the U.S.-born children of illegal aliens. The president says the U.S. has signed a trade deal with China, and Mr. Trump says another key trading partner may soon fall in line.
We're having some great deals. We have one coming up, maybe with India, very big one, where we're going to open up India. In the China deal, we're starting to open up China, things that never really could have happened, and the relationship with every country has been very good.
The U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear weapons program, Senate Armed Services Committee Chair Tom Cotton says it got the job done.
You have seen several experts in the last couple days who I think it's fair to say are not Donald Trump partisans. Use words like effectively destroyed, catastrophic damage, setback for years.
While Democrats continue insisting the setback to Iran's nuclear program will be very short-lived. Watching Wall Street this morning, stock futures pointing to a higher open. The Dow futures up 137 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to relieffactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Third day. The original members reunited for the 30th anniversary tour, playing all the hits. With special guest Zach Williams. Tickets available now at awakeningfoundation.com. Third day, the 30th anniversary tour.
You just call my name.
An Awakening Foundation event.
The Trump administration's quest to make America healthy again continues to bear fruit.
ConAgra Brands, the parent company of Duncan Hines, Slim Jim, Marie Collander's, Healthy Choice, and Birdseye, is the latest big food company that says it's discontinuing the use of artificial dyes. ConAgra says it will remove artificial colors from its frozen foods by the end of this year. ConAgra also says it will stop offering products containing artificial colors to K through 12 schools by the beginning of the 26-27 school year. And it will work to discontinue artificial dyes across its entire portfolio. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
A double-decker bus carrying high school students plunged into a river in southern England. Officials say the bus driver and 4 passengers were taken to the hospital. The driver and 1 student suffering serious injuries. More than a dozen teens treated for minor injuries. Nothing yet on the cause. News and analysis, townhall.com. In St. Paul, a former Minnesota lawmaker who was shot and killed along with her husband is lying in state today with her husband and their beloved family pet.
Former Minnesota Democratic House Speaker Melissa Hortman is lying in state in the Minnesota Capitol Rotunda Friday, along with her husband and their golden retriever Gilbert. The Hortmans were shot and killed June 14th in what the chief federal prosecutor for the state is calling a political assassination. Their dog was wounded and had to be euthanized. Meanwhile, 57-year-old Vance Belter, who's accused of killing the couple and wounding a Democratic state senator and his wife, is due in court Friday to determine whether he'll remain in custody without bail. Federal prosecutors allege that Belter also stopped at the homes of 2 other Democratic lawmakers and listed dozens of Democrats as potential targets. I'm Donna Warder.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel wishing, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning, one and all. Welcome to Mornings with Mike Winters. I am he. That would be me, Mike Winters. Happy Friday.
Yes, we have made it through the storm.
We have.
Literally the storm of the week.
Yeah. Now, we still have slight rain chances, but usually like the normal 20% that turned to nothing. Rain chances.
It was interesting to wake up to an entire cloud-covered Roswell this morning. It was like a big mushroom.
But, yeah, it's still a little cloudy, but yeah, we're supposed to hit the 90s today.
Yeah.
90, or no, it's now they're saying 87. Yesterday was 92, now 87. So.
Okay, I'll take it.
Even better.
Yeah, drop it down even further.
That's right. But 94 tomorrow, and then mid-90s again on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But enjoy it. And then next week's another monsoony-like week, but not like this past week.
Not as threatening.
Doesn't seem like
threatening.
It, but according to the weather guys, we will get some more monsoon moisture next week. So, but we get a respite for the weekend for the most part.
I'll take it.
Occasional isolated pop-up or here and there. But nothing like this week we've experienced. So
yes,
enjoy. Dry out a bit.
Yeah, it'll be kind of nice.
Might be able to utilize the pool.
Ooh.
See, my pool's open now in my neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
Just opened this past week, but it hasn't exactly been pooling weather this week. So.
No, see, that's the time you got to do it. You got to go full shirtless, like the sunscreen down the nose, hanging out on a pool floaty, waving at your neighbors. You can own it then.
Just sit there with the I don't think I'm allowed to wear any of this in the pool, but literally walk to the pool with like the diving goggles on, the flippers.
Are y'all that strict? You can't have like fun stuff?
You can have like pool noodles, but you can't have like floaties.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're real strict about the lining of the
Do you
pool.
guys have like a diving board situation?
Oh, no.
Or is it a deep end?
No, it's straight up. I think it's 5 feet, and then it goes to like 3 feet at the end or something like that. Yeah. No, it's not no diving pool. But it's good to cool off in.
I'm not sure when pool regulations, what year it was that pools changed, but there was a change. Because I remember when I was a kid, every pool in America had a shallow end and then a deep end. Even if it didn't have like a diving board situation, there was a deep end.
Yeah. And most had diving boards.
Yeah, and now standard every pool is 5 feet at max, or like 5'5".
Yeah.
And then there's like, if you have a pool that's used for a competition or diving, then you'll have a pool with a depth of like, 10, 11, 12 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember this is like the second time I've talked at this place in the last 2 weeks. But when I was a child, my dad and our family, we had a piece of property in Virginia. It was on this like campground. It was, the name of the park was called Indian Acres. And basically you bought this piece of land and then you put your trailers, like your tow trailer, your RVs, trailers types, and they literally put on the lot. Some people would build little decks and things off of their trailers and stuff. But it was kind of like being a part of a, camping country club kind of thing. But the
you just described a trailer park, but okay.
Yes, but it's not for permanent residents. It's more for vacationing. But anyway, we had a piece, and it was about 2 hours from the house down in Virginia, and so we'd go down there during the summers to hang out for weekends or a week at a time sometimes.
Sure.
And But they had like a big pool, and of course had an arcade with the latest in 80s games and
very cool
golf course and some other. And it had a little shop that I loved that you could buy like handicaps and Cokes and whatnot. And but anyway, they had an Olympic-sized pool. Nice. And yeah, it was just like you said. The one end was a deep end, and they had diving boards. They had a low dive and a higher dive, and then of course they had a roped off area where it kind of demarked the deep end from the non-deep
Yeah,
end.
the buoys.
The
line
and
that
so,
you
yeah.
were never allowed to touch.
Yeah.
That's the one I've never understood that. I know lifeguards and I should talk to them. But like if you like lifted that thing up to get under it, like get off the rope.
Yeah.
Like they would never let you touch it.
But although if I seem to remember, I think they were a little more loosey-goosey with us because I seem to remember like horsing around with friends in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's saying nothing. Like, like wrestling and throwing each other and splashing and all that, hanging out in the pool.
Yeah.
And what you do. And no one ever said anything to us that I recall. Now, one thing I do remember, and as an adult, it creeps me out, but as a child, I didn't care, was there was a lot of kids that swam in that pool. Mm-hmm. And I ain't gonna lie.
Nobody
on
ever
certain
got
busy
out.
days.
Yeah.
There was a yellow hue to that pool.
Nobody ever got out to go to the bathroom.
Back in the it didn't matter. And I was like, there's a lot of pee.
Yeah, it's
nowadays I'm like, I can't believe I did that. How am I still alive? I literally swam in a big pool of pee.
In a giant pool of pee. In a puddle of piddle.
Yeah.
Well, at least it was a yellow hue and not a brown one.
This is true.
South Park did a whole episode arc about that every water park has to maintain a regulation of under 45% pee to water.
Well, and I'm pretty sure lifeguards in the mid-'80s were cursing the Caddyshack movie just because there's so many Baby Ruth scenes in probably pools across the country.
I feel like Baby Ruth had to change their shape and formulation because of the movie Caddyshack.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like now that I think about it, and of course most people now, and Bill Murray, and he does more serious things and do this and all that, and he's still a funny guy, but at the end of the day, Bill Murray's biggest contribution to film was the Baby Ruth scene from Caddyshack.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as yes, he was in, the Ghostbusters movies and he's got a career, but as far as contribution to things,
yeah.
That's it right there.
That is big. That is. Although I gotta say, he's also a big. He's a big reason why when I was in my mixology phase, I learned how to mix a sweet vermouth on the rocks with a twist. I guess that's more what's her face than Annie McDowell.
Yeah, Annie McDowell character in Groundhog
Bill
Day.
Murray.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was because of that movie. I'm like, I have to learn how to mix this drink. And then, by the way, it's terrible. Reminds me of Rome, the way the sun hits the buildings in the afternoon. Bull crap.
Andy McDowell's like, I don't even like that drink. I had to do it for the take.
68 times.
Note to self, don't do another Groundhog Day movie.
Or
I got to do the same thing over 50 times.
I wonder, I am curious, how much do you think Sonny and Cher got paid in residuals for that movie? Because, I don't know if you have to pay per use on a song.
I think you're blanket covered. Once you got it, you got it.
Buy
Just buy the rights and you can roll it as much as you want.
Because, that's probably the most overused song in the history of cinema, is that open.
Well, and that movie kind of cemented it in our generation's brains, about that. But
I know people that will mumble their way through that song until that line. They know that line. And put your little hand in mine. And the rest of it's like, crying. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that just anytime you have a song that is popular on TV and movies, you just know the TV or movie version and not the rest of the song. Like I'm pretty sure like the Rembrandts, they're like, they only know the I'll Be There For You part. They don't know the rest of the song.
I was watching a thing. They were talking about how like karaoke of the future, kids of the future are going to discover that these songs that are being used in like medical commercials were actual songs back in the day. They're like, somebody took the Ozempic song and reworked it. Yeah. And it's not as good.
Right. I would imagine, oh shoot, now their name went right out of my head. The band that, hey, now you're a rock star.
Oh, Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth, thank you. I bet to this day they do concerts now and people are like, play the Big Bang song.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that. Yeah, we wrote a lyric for a guy, for a friend, so they did the song, because basically the Big Bang Theory song.
That's Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh, it's Bare Naked Ladies. I'm sorry. I got
No, it's okay.
Up.
I mix up Bare Naked
But
Ladies
anyway,
and Smash Mouth, believe it or not.
But he's
too.
friends with Chuck Lorre.
Oh, really?
The Bare Naked Ladies guy.
Okay.
And so he literally wrote that Big Bang Theory song for the show, and it turns out now it's like one of their biggest.
Smash Mouth's whole thing is it's basically they're forced to play All-Star at every show, although the lead singer did pass away.
And in all fairness, I get Bare Naked Ladies, Smash Mouth, and all those, there's bands in that era, they're all the same to me.
Counting Crows is another one that I kind of mix in there. Because, again, just theme song bands.
To me, I look at these were all bands that tried to be cooler than Dave Matthews.
Now, hold on. Hold on, though. I will
tried
say
so
this.
hard.
I will say this.
Yeah.
Smash Mouth is mid. But Bare Naked Ladies are responsible for maybe the greatest line in the history of music.
Yeah.
And that line is, I can hide out under there. I just made you say underwear. I mean, it's the greatest line in music. That is one of my favorite songs of Bare Naked Ladies' entire discography, and it's because of that line.
Okay. Speaking now, I'll hit on that later because I got to get an interview going. But I found a show I'm kind of digging.
Oh yeah,
I'll have to talk about it later.
By the way, it's weird. Red Friday, I guess.
Yeah, just kind of
different tones, but still.
We're all going to be running with the Bulls later this afternoon.
Just really wanted to stand out, Figured it's Friday, the weekend's upon us. It's time to pop.
That's right. Bust out the red. Let me give you the rundown for today's show. We're going to replay our interview we had with Crystal Noble from the Roswell Humane Society. She joined us yesterday. Give us an update. We'll play that for you here in just a bit. Our 8 o'clock hour is going to get busy because the county commission meeting got moved a bit. So we're going to have Chaves County Manager Bill Williams join us for part of the hour, giving us an update on commission meeting. We'll also have some sheriff's deputies from the Chaves County Sheriff's Department because it's their normal scheduled time to be on. So we'll hit them both in. We'll county hour of power next week. Next hour. And then we're going to have the folks from Galacticon join us in 9 o'clock hour, give us an update on what's going on. We are less than a week away.
I was going to say T-minus, yeah.
1 week from yesterday is the official start of the UFO Festival and Galacticon and everything that's going on.
Things will really start getting underway 1 week from today.
Yeah.
But there's
we're a week
still
away
some
from
festivities.
4th of July.
That's right.
By the way, we won't be doing a show next Friday.
Oh, really?
4th of July.
That's good to know.
We're going to take the day off.
All right. Thanks, boss.
We normally don't do a show on the 4th, so why start now? All right, 7:18. Let's get you up to date on the weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We could get a shower or thunderstorm today. Our afternoon high will be in the low 90s. We still have a little bit of moist air coming in from the south. Then tonight, some clouds, and our overnight low will be in the mid-60s. We get sunshine on Saturday, mid-90s for the afternoon high. Maybe a shower around Carlsbad, but sunshine everywhere else. Sunny and hot on Sunday. We're in the upper 90s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 71 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 19%. Winds currently out of the southeast at 6 miles per hour. We do have rain chances today, a 30% chance at afternoon showers. They're talking after 3 today. Partly cloudy, high of 87 with south winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, there's a 20% chance of some showers and thunderstorms, mainly before 9 p.m. Mostly cloudy with an overnight low of 67 and south winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Saturday, looking at sunny skies, 94 for a high tomorrow. Southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy Saturday night, but no talk of rain. Overnight low of 68 with south winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, going to be mostly sunny, mid-90s once again, 95 for a high on Sunday with south winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. We do have a 20% chance of rain Sunday night. Mainly before midnight, mostly cloudy, overnight low of 67. And then next week, again, more monsoonal moistures, a 40% chance for rain Monday afternoon, partly cloudy at 92, 40% Monday night, and a 40% on Tuesday, mostly cloudy, 88. And then looking at 30% chances of rain for Wednesday and Thursday, also highs right around 90 at that time. But we got a few days between now and then. It can change, but could see some more moisture next week, the way the weather's reporting. All right, 7:20, we're going to take a 3-minute break, and then we're going to play our interview with Crystal from the Humane Society. Don't go away.
Lights, camera, action. Get superhero savings during our summer blockbuster sales event going on right now at Roswell Ford. Hey Roswell, you don't need to be a hero to pay zero. Drive home a new Ford with 0 down and 0 payments this summer. Plus, at Roswell Ford, everyone gets employee pricing. You heard right. At Roswell Ford, you pay what we pay on our huge inventory of new Fords. Stuck in your loan or lease and want out early? Roswell Ford can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, regardless of make, miles, or condition. Don't let the credit villains keep you from driving your dream car. At Roswell Ford, getting approved is a possible mission, so you can pay what we pay. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to find the best car and get massive American-made savings and the best car buying experience. Get on board at Roswell Ford, because we'll do whatever it takes to make a deal. 821 North Main Street in beautiful Roswell. Call 575-623-3673 or online at roswellford.com. Interest accrues from date of sale on select vehicles. Trade balances refinanced to new loan. Subject to lender approval. Offers not combined.
It's a great time to buy a Kubota. From America's #1 selling compact tractor to zero-turn mowers and versatile RTVs. Get your perfect match delivered to your door now through June 30th. Get 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months, or up to $3,000 off an L3302 compact Kubota tractor. Now through 6/30/2025. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information. Visit Amigo Machinery in Roswell or see us online at amigo-machinery.com.
Our world is in desperate need of kindness. In the Apostle Paul's letter to Titus and the church in Crete, he encourages them to be peaceable and considerate, and always to be gentle toward everyone. So why do we need to be kind? Then Paul writes this, "But when the kindness and love of God our Savior appeared, he saved us, not because of righteous things we had done, but because of his mercy." I think what Paul is saying is that we're called to be kind and considerate of others because of the kindness that God has shown us by forgiving our sins. We are kind in response to the kindness that we've been shown. God doesn't call us to agree on everything. He just calls us to be kind. I love this quote. If you have to choose between being kind and being right, choose being kind and you'll always be right. There's so much meanness and division in our world. Choose today to be kind to those who you encounter. You will be amazed at the positive difference a little kindness can make.
Join us at the Country Club Road Church of Christ for worship at 10 a.m. on Sunday, located on the corner of Country Club and Washington in Roswell.
The summer of fun rolls on at Roswell Honda with a great selection of adventure-ready rides priced right, so you'll be ready for whatever summer throws your way. Get 2.99% for up to 36 months on Honda Pilot, HRV, and CRV hybrids, 1.99% for 36 months on all Ridgeline, or 4.99% for 48 months on all new Civic, and truckloads of all new inventory too. Start your summertime adventure during the summer of fun at Roswell Honda, 2177 West 2nd.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Slugs have 4 noses, but no fingers to pick them. Here's Mike Winters.
This morning, Crystal Noble back with us from the Roswell Humane Society. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's life with the puppies and the kitties this morning?
What?
Yeah.
No,
you have a new roof.
Yes.
Is it holding?
It's holding.
All
it's
right.
good. It's just we have outside drains and gutters and all of that, and so when you have a large amount of water, it takes a little while for it to go down.
So I imagine the dogs have been spending more time indoors rather than getting all muddy out in the yard, that kind of thing.
Pretty much.
So hopefully, maybe.
And then now that all the thunder's over, a lot of their anxiety has calmed down.
I'm about to say, I never thought about that, but yeah, because that's not uncommon for animals to be sensitive to the weather.
No, and we have the middle building, so any loud sounds, it sounds like a bomb is going off right outside.
Is there like a big thing of puppy Dramamine you give them when they
Honestly, this time of the year, it's called Rescue Remedy. Okay. And so, like, if we know it's going to be thundering or a lot of fireworks and stuff, we give them all a little bit.
Gotcha. Makes sense. I mean, it's because, again, this is the thing I remind folks every time. And when you come to adopt an animal from the Humane Society, remind yourself you're seeing these animals in their worst environment.
Yes.
Their worst condition. They're in the kennels, and animals like to run and be free, and so they get, antsy, anxious. They get, or they get quiet and reserved.
Some of them, a lot of people are like, oh my God, that dog's not barking.
Yeah.
A lot of dogs won't bark in an environment that they don't feel is their home.
Sure.
And so when they get home, and they get comfortable and relaxed, that might change. They might bark when they get home, but then they might not.
Can't shut them up sometimes, maybe.
Yeah. Some dogs are just not barkers, and some dogs are. So
they're
it's
like
hard.
people.
Yeah.
They have personalities, and everyone's
They do.
different.
Just like one of our dogs is an Australian Shepherd. He doesn't per se bark. He yips at you. Like, yip.
Hey, yeah.
Like just trying to get like a little whistle. Like he's trying to whistle at you.
Gotcha. It's like a little chirp.
Yeah. But he doesn't like bark, but I'm pretty sure, if he got home and a squirrel was running across the fence, he's going to be like,
Sure.
my fence, get off.
He's using his indoor voice.
Yes. I tell our Great Dane all the time, we're not in a train station, use your indoor voice.
That's right. And so I always remind, so when you do come to visit and looking for those perfect pets, that's why they encourage you to use the meet and greet room and do all this, because that way you get some one-on-one time with the animal and you get to really see some more of its personality.
And a lot of the times they're going to act different, even just going from in the kennel area up into the front area.
Sure, where it's quieter.
It is quieter. You know, you don't have 100 dogs barking trying to get your attention up front.
Not that I've spent a lot of time in prison, but I've seen enough movies like when they're in prison, everyone's loud and screaming and hollering, especially when the new fish is coming in and all that stuff. And the kennel's kind of like that all the time, especially when a person walks in.
Yes, a new person that they're not familiar with, it's like the crowd goes wild.
And so to be in that environment and then the dog walks out, it's quiet. I mean, you're seeing it's just like you as a human. You're like, oh, okay, now I can think. Now the dog's doing the same thing.
Right? The dog's like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to 1,000 people
or the cat
talking.
or whatever. Yeah, exactly. These are living, breathing things. They're very. No, they can't live and communicate and do everything like humans, but they have personalities. They have wants, desires, just like you, and they like to be comfortable, just like you. They don't like to be not uncomfortable. They pretty much everything you like, and they're pretty much the same.
I laugh because we have a group of kittens that are from the same litter, and I swear they talk to each other throughout the day because you hear meow meow meow, just chitter chatter back, and then you hear one of them get like real annoyed meow, and I'm like, oh, they said something they didn't like. They didn't like the end of that conversation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they have. They can tell. Like even with our own cats, I could see like when one does something and it's the other one. Right there. What are you doing? Chicken out? They.
Why are you doing that? You're going to get in trouble.
They'll smack each other. Don't get me wrong, but they still. Anytime one of them has a distressful moment, the other runs up, like sniffing and looking, and like, you okay? You okay? You okay? It's just what they they have relationships. They care. They love. They do everything just like you do. That's why we're so adamant about when you adopt a pet. If you're not willing to treat it like a member of your family, maybe you shouldn't adopt a pet. And that's what this is all about. If you're, now there's ordinances that aren't gonna let you chain up at animals and stuff. But if that was your lifestyle to begin with,
a lot of people, that are coming in, are, even though you live in, like, let's say an apartment complex and there's really nowhere for you to chain an animal outside, you still have to have a fenced-in area connected to the apartment. So that way, when you let the animal outside, they're not having to be leashed or chained up. And they have area to roam around. Now, if your apartment complex has a little doggy area that you walk your dogs to, okay.
Yeah.
But you still need an area attached to your house. So that way, if your door does open, the dog's not flying out and running. Because a lot of the apartment complexes are off of busy roads.
Sure. Yeah, there's busy streets. Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, I think a lot of apartment complexes don't allow them dogs to begin with.
A lot of the things that we're seeing now is like a lot of renters in town are not allowing pets. So when we ask people, are you sure you're allowed to rent? Make
is
sure.
It in your lease?
Yeah, make sure it's in your lease, or if you have to pay a pet deposit. Check into that stuff first, just because we don't want to go through the entire process, get everything approved, and then you get the animal home, and then your landlord's like, sorry, you can't have the pet.
Or then I've also heard clauses too. It's like, okay, well, you can't have a dog, but you can have a cat. And so
and then there's some places, you can have a dog, but it can't be over 30 pounds.
Sure.
Or you can have.
Now, with the Humane Society, you're always going to have that fenced-in aspect, regardless of the dog's 100 pounds or 12. It doesn't matter. The dog needs to go out, and guess what? A 12-pound dog can get away quick.
Yeah. Yes, they can move a lot faster.
Yeah.
But we do home inspections to make sure that, whatever animal of interest you're looking at is going to be suitable for what you have.
Sure.
Because, Huskies and German Shepherds and bigger dogs, they don't do well in apartment complexes. They're an active dog.
They got to run.
They got to run. They got to have room to move. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, oh, well, I see my neighbor who's got a Rottweiler. Well, that Rottweiler's like 13 years old and doesn't run and move like that no more. So
but when it was a puppy or 2-year-old,
right,
that thing had bundles of energy. Yeah.
Yes. So a lot of people think that, it's too hard to adopt from us. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of rules and policies because we are trying to eliminate the animals being returned back to the facility.
I get it. And then there's a lot of people, they're probably going to be very good owners, even though your facilities don't meet the requirements here. And we understand that. But unfortunately, you can't make the exception because the moment you do, then it opens the floodgates and then everybody does it. And then we're back to square one.
Yeah.
Where we are, and by no stretch of imagination are we, back into controls and normalcy of animals and overpopulation and all that. That's the reason we have these issues is because people aren't being responsible pet owners. And so not getting your pet spayed or neutered, that's number one right there. That's, the feral cats, the things in the neighborhood, that's all because guess what? When two cats get together at a certain time of year, they're going to do things. And that's what happens. It's just nature,
and then
folks.
60 days later, you got babies.
It's nature. And so if we're not doing things to prevent that, every time these animals go into heat, we're going to have a new litter at the Humane Society every single time. And we kind of have it anyway.
We do.
There is cat season around here, and there's a time where, there's more cats than anything else in the shelter just because of these very things that people aren't doing.
We had a mild winter in like an actual spring. We actually had a spring and not a scalding summer. So that's going to be worse for
probably parvo and stuff too here.
It is.
Those lack of cold temperatures are breeding grounds for these diseases that really can decimate.
They never stopped from last year. It's still continuous. We got people calling in saying, hey, my dog has this and this and this symptom. And, what do I do? We always direct them to go to their local vet if they don't have a vet, to find a vet, because unfortunately we don't have a vet on staff. So if there's an issue with any one of the animals at the kennels, we take them to one of the vets here in town.
Whichever one's available.
Yeah, we call and say, hey,
just like everybody else.
Do you have an appointment? This is what's going on. Can I bring the cat or dog down?
Yeah. I imagine you have relationships with most of the vets, and they can, all right, and they'll work around or help you guys.
So a lot of the times, when I call and I say, hey, it's not an emergency, but can you get me in?
Serious nature.
Yeah. They're very willing to work with us and get us in quickly. And then there's times where I'm like, hey, it is an emergency issue. And they're like, come right now.
Yeah.
So just depending on the situation,
Sure.
And it's the same for people. Like when you call and say, hey, my dog's doing this, they're going to be like, okay, we can get you in at 3:00 this afternoon and grab a sample.
Yeah.
But you just have to call them and talk to them.
And a lot of things nowadays, it's lab work. Anytime that the pet is experiencing symptoms, is it serious? I don't know. I got to do lab work, and once that determines, I can tell you, yeah, it's very serious, or no, it's just a thing. It'll pass.
Right. And a lot of people will call us for funding for vet bills. We don't have that kind of funding.
Now, from time to time, you'll get some spay or neuter voucher discounts.
We do,
but as far as health care for your pets, no. Now, that being said, I'm sure they can turn you on to some nonprofits and may be able to help out in those situations. Maybe not directly for that money, but if there's other needs you have there.
There are a few people that will network on Facebook, for like GoFundMe's, or like they'll set up an account at a certain vet's office. But for the most part, everybody's hurting just the same.
Sure.
Donations are down.
And I've never looked into pet health care insurance yet. I have no idea what that costs a month.
And about the same as human.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it'd be cheaper.
Your deductibles are lower.
Yeah.
But we have there's care credit out there. You just have to apply for it. And then basically it's just like a credit card for medical.
Gotcha.
And even you could use it for yourself personally and not just your animals. You could use it at the dentist.
All right, who got the rabies vaccination? You or the dog?
Right. Yeah. And they allow you to make payments on that too. So for the people that aren't able to, foot the bill up front, that is an alternative way.
Sure. Yeah. But, but again, this goes back to, if you don't think you can handle that, maybe this is not the time for you to adopt a pet.
Right.
I mean, it's no different than kids. I get it. Most people are like, yeah, do you think I plan these kids? No, I get that. But, that's with a dog, you get to plan it. With a cat, you get to plan it.
Right.
And so if you know that that your finances are going to be strained to a point that you don't know if you could do this, then maybe now is not the time to adopt that.
If if you're just missing some affection,
yeah,
and you just financially can't have a pet, come down and volunteer.
Come volunteer, absolutely.
Come hang out with the cats or dogs, and then that way you're getting,
get the love on them, take it on walks like right now. I imagine it's good with the weather. You could probably, because it's not too high. I mean, here in a couple of days it might be too bad, but with the rain and everything, maybe you can walk a dog or two.
Gotta let the park dry out just a little bit.
But,
it's a sinking muddy mess.
But maybe in the mornings you could at least take them out on the sidewalks and street and
we
stuff.
do. We have a lot of volunteers that have been coming between 8 and 8:30, and about 10 o'clock it's already getting too hot. So they're coming in about 8 or 8:30, and getting a couple of dogs out to the park and walking them. And as long as it's not over 90 degrees that day, it's typically pretty good up until about 11 a.m.
Which reminds me. Probably shoot this message out because I don't think we'll see you between now and then. I know next week is UFO Festival.
And 4th of July.
4th of July. Please, please, please. I know they got the pet costume contest and all kinds of stuff, and they're encouraging you to bring your pets downtown. If they don't have the shoes, the protection to walk, then don't bring them.
Because when it's 90 degrees outside, that asphalt's like 125.
Yeah. Unless you're going to physically carry them around everywhere until you get to the grass on the courthouse lawn, then you don't need to be bringing their pets out there without protection, because they will burn their feet. And conversely, if you put those on and just like you, water them regularly, hit the things, bring the dish to dump bottles of water in for your dog, just as much as for yourself and your kids and the rest of your family.
Yes, and with it, people already starting off the fireworks. I tell everybody every year, I sound like a broken record. If you're going to light fireworks off, make sure your animals are inside, secure in a comfortable area. If you have a dog that has anxiety, get a kennel. Put them in a kennel, cover the kennel, and put them in a quiet place so that way it's a less stressful environment for them.
A dog that will never, ever leave your backyard when panicked because of gunshots or fireworks will bust through that fence.
Yes.
They don't care. When they get into flight or fight mode, it's just like the adrenaline pumps. They do amazing feats of strength. They do anything to get out of that situation to survive. I've heard so many stories of dogs that are gentle, docile things. The fireworks exposed, they go crazy, they break through, and you find them 5 miles later or 5 places. You find them nowhere near where you're at. They have that ability, and that's why you've got to be cognizant of that. And especially if you never have a history with this dog and you don't know, err on the side of caution.
Right. And even like if you live out in the county, be aware of other people's livestock. It scares cows, horses, donkeys.
Certain veterans, just so you know, too.
Well, yeah. There's veterans out there that freak out. And we understand it's a celebration for, Independence Day. However, you have
be
to
a good neighbor.
Be responsible, be respectful to people around you.
Yeah.
Like we have people that live out behind us that start shooting their guns off at night, and it terrifies our horse. I have to drug our horse because they shoot.
Yep.
And they're not shooting fireworks, they're shooting their guns.
Firing off their guns, yep.
What goes up must come down.
And I get it now. I get it. I grew up in a little bit more urban area, and we didn't have as much of that there. Although downtown D.C., they shoot a lot of guns there too.
But
usually they're 38 specials though, not shotguns. But
just
anyway.
be mindful of people around you. Be mindful of animals around you. Yes, it is a celebration, but there's a lot of other ways to celebrate than blowing something
Absolutely,
up or hurting somebody's animals or hurting somebody.
Or at least talk with your neighbors and stuff if they have, hey, we're going to shoot fireworks off and, the dog going to be okay or whatever. Be neighbors. Be good about this. And so I guarantee there's going to be at least one or two of those incidents on 4th of July weekend where they deal with the neighbors. Someone's going overzealous or running around in someone's yard blowing something else up or someone's dog escapes or,
And even with all the amount of rain that we have had, that does not mean that you cannot start a fire.
Oh, absolutely not. We live in the desert. We live in guess what? Wait a week. It'll be dry and brittle.
It's going to be dry by Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just where we live. But that being said, please remember all of that. And especially if you're going to come be a part of UFO Festival and bring the pets out, which is great, just protect them. Make sure they have the shoes so they don't walk barefoot on the sidewalks and the streets out there. Have plenty of water, plenty of shade. Don't hang out in the sun too long with your dogs. Get them in the shade. Get them, when you start getting hot, guess what? They're starting to get hot.
They're probably been hotter before you because their body temperature runs a lot higher.
Exactly, because they're covered in fur.
And they don't sweat like we do.
Yeah, it all comes out their tongue, panting. It's just
yes.
And so please be mindful of that when you're out celebrating next week.
I do have some stuff for the thrift store.
Yes, good time to come shop and
yes.
We are right in that spot where kids will be going to college here in a little bit. So I'm telling you right now, before you start going to the big box stores, buying your kids microwaves and coffee pots and plates and things like that for their dorm rooms, come to the thrift store, get better quality products that someone already paid sticker price for, that your kid's going to destroy 3 months into the semester. Just go there, buy the microwave. You paid $10 for it when they broke it by November. No big deal.
Yep.
Go get another $10 one at the Humane Society.
So for today, all ladies' jeans are going to be half off.
Nice. Ladies. Ladies.
I know. Calling all ladies. Yes, we know it's not the time of the year. However, people donate stuff to us throughout the entire year. So they have sweaters and jackets.
Oh, you'll be needing them in a couple months. And then now's
Yeah.
the time to buy them cheap, not when everyone needs them and no one has them.
Yes. So 75% off. Bathing suits. They have bathing suits on sale for $5 a piece.
And you can use those today.
You
those
can.
use.
They have beach towels, pool towels.
Nice.
So lots of those.
And it's always good to have a collection of those. Just
They
to
are.
have in the house.
Our collection gets used for the dogs.
I'm about to say that if you have pets, you should have a collection of beach towels.
Yeah.
Because you will need to be cleaning up very. You know what I saw on? If I see them like for available, is they had those little wet floor signs. They had mini ones that said cat vomit. I was like, we could use some of those at our house from time to time.
Oh, that's funny. They have a table with 6 chairs for $50. It's a really nice table. Somebody
like indoor dining table.
Indoor dining table.
Nice.
It's got like a wood trim, and then the center is like tile.
Probably paid $1,000 for that thing brand new, or
Probably.
at least, yeah.
Lamps. If you guys any lamp collectors out there,
okay.
They got lots of lamps. Vacuum cleaners. We know there are people that like to tinker with them and do fun stuff, and so they've got Sharks, they've got Bissell's.
Okay.
They've got quite a bit of a collection of vacuum cleaners.
I remember back in the Boys Life magazine, they used to have that thing to make a hovercraft kit, and I think they used a vacuum cleaner thing to do that.
Shoes. Lots of shoes.
All right, for all those
from dress
shoe fetish
shoes, summer shoes, hiking shoes. This is the time of the year where people are out, hiking and camping and doing all that stuff. They got a ton
Go up in the
of
mountains.
like camping equipment, canning jars. It is canning season.
Camping equipment get very expensive. If you can buy that stuff pre-owned and on the cheap, because you could easily drop thousands of dollars on sleep bags and tents. I know. You can get them for a third of that price at the Humane Society.
Yes. They have a really cool telescope.
Okay.
So this is a star season.
Nice.
So.
And I know we got our Star Party folks out there. Anybody looking to maybe get one on the cheap?
Yeah, because isn't there the star thing in Maljamar coming up? Don't they do that in like July?
I know they do that, and I know like when the Dragonfly Festival, they usually have a big Star Party before that, and they'll go out to usually like one of those missile silos or whatever where we can't go to, and where it's uber dark, and they'll go out there and watch the sky.
Yeah. Lots of blankets. So yes, it's not blanket season right now. However, it will be.
You know what? I would offer this. If you'd like to buy them up and donate them to like Food Not Bombs and the homeless coalitions and stuff, especially when they have these, like hypothermia was a thing earlier, with the rains and they're stuck out there. And those blankets would be a godsend. So if someone would like to buy them up and then maybe donate them if you don't have a need for them yourself to a Food Not Bombs or the Homeless Coalition or any of these organizations, that'd be great. Just an idea.
Yeah, there is lots of endless ways you could do.
Yep.
So if you have like your own special like dog blankets, like our dogs have their own blankets.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of like dog and cat-sized blankets.
Okay.
So
create a little pallet for them or whatever. Yeah.
Or like just stuff their dog bed and like a whole bunch of blankets on it.
You don't have to be like crazy like us. Remember we bought that like Tempur-Pedic bed.
Our dogs have. Yeah. Our dogs have a Tempur-Pedic.
I think it was like as much as our bed.
Yeah. It's like the size of this table.
Oh yeah,
in
it
here.
was huge. Yeah, and it was monogrammed. It was the whole deal. Yeah, we went way over the top on that.
Do you know who lays on that more than the dogs? John.
It's because that's where he gets sent when he does the bad.
No, he grabs a pillow and he throws himself on there, and then the dogs all cuddle with them, and I'm like, whatever.
Hey, whatever floats your boat.
Mm-hmm. We have a very unique China hutch where it's got the bowed glass on the front.
Oh, nice. Okay. Collector's piece, probably.
Mm-hmm. Probably more like on the antique-y side.
Okay,
so
this probably has some value on the outside.
Yeah.
If someone wants to,
and then
praise it.
Like medical, like wheelchairs, little miscellaneous supplies, medical supplies. They
Okay.
get a lot of it, when people, don't need it anymore. Insurance paid for it. They donate it.
Do you get a lot of the like those rolling walkers where it has like the wheels and usually you'll have, because I know a lot of people have a need for those and
They get
those
a lot
can
of
get expensive when
The
you buy new ones.
rollator, they're called rollators. They
Yeah.
get a lot of those. They also get a lot of just like the regular metal walkers.
Okay. With the tennis ball and the
Yeah. And now they make special tennis balls that are already pre-cut to go
Well,
on there. I
and-
was like, no, I'm just going to go buy a dog tennis ball and cut it and pop it on there.
Well, and I've seen like Kim's grandmother when she was using hers. There was like a phase where they like it's like remember that show Pimp My Ride?
Yes.
It's like Pimp My Walker, and they would go and put all kinds of things on this thing. It was
So,
horns and bells and whistles and everything else.
When Jim Gill had twisted his knee or
Yeah.
something, the doctor had told him to use a walker just to support himself so
Yeah.
that way he wouldn't hurt
Sure.
his knee. Well, he said that was more of a death trap than walking without it, but that was just his way of saying I don't want to use it.
Right.
And then so they got crutches for him and he wouldn't use the crutches. So they basically pimped his walker and crutches. They taped the crutches to the walker. They put those yellow flags on it. They put a cup holder for his coffee.
Nice.
They put a horn on it.
Yeah, they gave it amenities.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way to go. Like,
So-
I think one had a handbrake. I'm like, man, how fast you going?
That's so you don't roll down here.
Like, I got a brakes on this thing. I go so fast, but yeah. But yeah, that's a thing.
Yes, you lift up the seat. There's storage.
So if you need some of those,
Yes, they have a lot of. Normally they always have a lot of crutches. Why I don't know, but they always get crutches.
yeah.
So
I think people get them, sprain ankle, and then they done with them, and they just donate them. Or
I see
sell
them as
on
a
garage.
weapon.
Well, there was lots of uses.
That's what I see them as.
Look, you could even monitor and put like a little grabber and use it to grab things if you wanted to.
I have a step stool and a spatula.
Yeah. Kim's got a grab. She uses I've seen her more than one time use the tongs, like the tongs used to pull your corn out or whatever. She literally just down the stool and used the tongs to grab get a cup or whatever. Yeah.
John laughs at me because I have a special spatula. It's not used for cooking. It's used for getting things off the top shelf.
That's my whacking spatula.
I told him, also, that's my reacher. Don't touch that.
And I whack you with it too when you're out of reach.
No, he gets the marble rolling pin when he's in trouble.
Nice. That's got some weight. It's my Cristal motor rolling pin.
Yeah.
It's Murkowski Cristal. I got it from Tiffany's.
It's a 10-pound marble
Weighs
rolling
about 50
pin.
pounds. I just laid on bread and it just flattens out. It's the Chuck Norris of rolling pins. It just looks at dough and it goes flat.
Yeah, he was still in tortillas while I was making them, so he got hit with the rolling pin.
All right. Well, sometimes you're the hitter, sometimes you're the hittee. It just happens.
He wouldn't listen. I warned him.
And that's why he was on the dog bed later that night.
Out on the back porch with the doors locked.
Absolutely. But like we said, if you're looking for great stuff, I mean, there's all. I would make a thing if you're looking for, like, if you have a thing, you're like, I need to get a new. Think of the thrift store first, because the odds are times you can find it there and then find it very affordable.
I know this is not in our normal, like, for us in this deserty area, but like people that like travel up north to go fishing, like in the San Juan River and stuff. The waders, the pants.
Oh, the hip waders, they got them all.
The suspenders that come up to here.
Oh no,
they got 3 pair of them. However, the only thing is they're not like the shoe sizes are for like a smaller to medium sized foot, and then like it's an all in one.
Okay.
So basically, you're just hopping in it and then pulling it up like suspenders.
Okay, and you got it like size
trousers.
8 feet or something.
Yeah. So, but they're brand new. And they got 3 pair of them, and those things are expensive.
You probably could have been useful this week in certain situations in town. You know, just saying.
Right? Yes.
Hey, when the water ski team meets at Lake Home Depot later
they could go get some. Yeah. See.
But yeah, so if you need some hip waders,
yes, these ones actually go all the way up to the chest.
Nice.
So, and then they have like the extra little fishing pockets, so you can put your lures or whatever you're using in it.
Your beer, I mean your fishing lures.
Yeah, your lures.
That's right. Very cool. And again, you probably pay hundreds of dollars online or in a store brand new for these things.
Those things go for like $600.
Yeah. I mean, what do you sell them for them at the
$50?
$50, exactly. Yeah, that's amazing. So come on down, pick it up. Even if you don't need it, grab it anyway. And I don't even need it. I just nice to have. You never know.
Right. You never know when it's going to flood again around
Our
here.
next 100-year flood will happen soon. You'll be like, I'm hip wadered up. Let's do this.
Ain't nothing going to get me through the water.
That's right. I can go through that brown, weird water, whatever that nastiness is. Good deal. And here's another thing too. Like, if you're on the lookout for things, don't hesitate to let the staff know, and they'll look for you. Like, hey, I collect Coke products or whatever it is. Whenever you get a new Coke bottle or Coke clock or whatever, would you mind telling me? And sure, no, they do that stuff for folks all the time out there.
If there's a certain like furniture that you're looking for or something like that, just let them know. Camille's
certain
really
size
good.
shoes or certain size clothing or like if you're looking for like some medical care stuff, it's, you know, you get wheelchairs and you know, pretty much anything and anything comes across your table every once in a while here. It just happens.
Yeah.
So and then I'd also like to invite folks to become members of the Humane Society.
And we're getting ready to send out the next newsletter. I will be going to Tuscaloosa to get that printed today.
Okay.
So.
And that's a great way to support, because your membership dues, and everybody, your pets, your kids, your whole family, businesses, anybody can be a member of the Humane Society. You get to be a part of the monthly newsletter. You get the annual meetings. You get your say in all that. But what really helps is that your membership fees pay for vet bills, pay for cleaning supplies, pay for the day-to-day operations of the Humane Society. So between your buying stuff at the Humane Society thrift store and you becoming a member, those are the 2 big ways to keep the doors open and keep operations going.
Yes.
That's why we get so mad when people steal from the donation thing and tear it up and all that, because you're really taking food out of the dog's mouth by doing that. That's what you're doing.
That's it in a nutshell.
And y'all want to play, but people need it. All right, you're going to rip it out of this poor dog's mouth to get it? Okay. You want to play that? You want to play the guilt game? Let's play the guilt game.
Well, if they needed it that bad, they could come in during business hours and talk to Camille.
And to be honest, I know it's gotten a little better with people trying to work with you guys and things like that, and that's not been as big an issue as it was a couple months ago.
No, but I would like to remind people, if you are needing something and you are having hard times, come in, talk to Camille.
Absolutely.
Don't feel embarrassed, because everybody goes through a time in their life where they're just down. And
you know what? There's volunteers and people that work at the Humane Society that, quite frankly, are probably one bill away from being in the same situation you are. All of us are in some cases.
Right. So don't feel ashamed. Everybody needs help from time to time. Come in, talk to Camille, explain your situation, and, just say, I could use some help. And then she'll be like, okay, can you come in and volunteer for a few hours on these days? And work for what we're going to give you. And then that way, you're giving back to what you're getting.
Not to mention, you might find a passion or a new thing that you're into, and you say, well, I didn't realize how much fun I enjoyed doing this. And next thing you know, you're a regular, and you're there, and who knows, maybe adopting pets and doing, doing. That's what it is. This is an organization of people just trying to make the best for these pets, and at the end of the day, help each other out. And so, please, when you're thinking about bringing a pet into your home, please come to the Humane Society. And I'm telling you right now, if there's not a pet that doesn't sing to you or just doesn't connect with you, walk right next door to Animal Control. Either way, you're rescuing a pet. You're doing the right thing. When you see the people doing the puppy mill stuff at the Walmart parking lot, report that stuff. This is the reason we have these problems. If you see people with chained up dogs in there, report them.
Yes, call Animal Control.
If you saw a child in that same situation, you do the same thing. It's no different.
I agree. Yep. And just a reminder to everybody, the kennels, their store, and I do believe Animal Control, we will all be closed on July 4th.
For the 4th of July holiday.
Yes. Now, we will be back open on the 5th of July. I don't know what Roswell Animal Services hours are going to be because that is on a Saturday. And they're only open 1 to 4 on Saturdays as it is.
And I got a feeling 4th of July, you're probably going to be having people.
The 5th of July is
the kennel will have people in it just to keep on tabs on the animals.
The busiest day of the year is the January 1st and the 5th of July.
Yeah, those are, and so someone will be there to tend to the needs if they get a little amped up because of fireworks and everything going.
Yes.
But in the meantime, come on down and shop. We got sounds like probably a great selection of cats and dogs right now, based on what I've been seeing online and everything. So if you're looking for pets, there's a great variety to choose from.
Yes, we do. We have lots of dogs, lots of cats, kittens. I'm just gonna bring Freckles over later.
I'm about to say that
that
cat's already gotten people's heart. I was like, put it this way: had Hannah not been in our house, that cat would be scooped up. I'm just telling you, I don't want to ruin Hannah's, but to bring it.
I could do like a special meet and greet.
I only got room for one diva in the house. She thinks it's her, but it's Hannah.
Look, we could have a play date and just see how things go.
I would love that. Yeah, don't tempt me, but
I'll just send a wire kennel and we'll set it up. And
if I didn't feel so bad for Hannah, I would do it because I love the cat. Looks cool and looks like perfect, jives with our personality, just everything.
Oh, she's a hoot.
Yeah. She seems like she is. If you can't have an animal and be entertained by hours with it doing just dumb things in your house, you shouldn't be a pet owner. That's the way it is. They create all stuff. But thank you as always. We'll see you. We'll see you next time. And find a home for Freckles. If you want a really cool cat, it's going to be a little.
He's trying to get somebody to come down and get the cat, so Kim does it.
For the sake of my Hannah, please adopt Freckles.
I told you we could do an introduction. You never know. Hannah might be like best friend.
I know Hannah better than any person on the planet. She would hate that cat. This is the cat that chases me into the bathroom and hangs out of my underpants while I go to the bathroom. This cat and I are joined at the hip.
At Richland Motors, it's never been easier to sell or trade your current car, truck, or SUV for a newer model to hit the road in. Even if you don't purchase from Richland, they want to buy your vehicle for top dollar. But if you do buy from Richland, don't forget, they're the home of the powertrain warranty for life. That's a whole lot of confidence for you. See Richland for details, 2nd and Sycamore, and 1309 Southeast Main.
When managing a chronic illness, access to the right treatments makes all the difference. Artesia General Hospital's Infusion Center provides IV therapy and biologic treatments, so you don't have to travel far for care. Expert infusion therapy right here in Artesia. Call 575-736-8256 today to learn more.
Got a wedding, birthday, or quinceañera coming up? Southwest Printers can bring your invitation ideas to life. Southwest Printers specializes in one-of-a-kind invitations for weddings, birthdays, quinceañeras, or any special event.
With a wide range of papers and finishes, Southwest Printers can make your invitations truly special, unique, and personal. And that's not all. Southwest Printers offers a wide variety of printing services. If you can think it, they can print it. Take your ideas to the next level with Southwest Printers at the southwest corner of 2nd and Pennsylvania in Roswell. Call 575-622-1820.
Your home for Coast to Coast AM in Roswell, 106.5, Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico.
This is the final day of the Supreme Court's current term with a half-dozen decisions about to be released. One of the highest profile rulings concerns President Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship for the U.S.-born children of illegal aliens. Other cases deal with an online age verification law in Texas, the Education Department's firing of nearly 1,400 workers, and DOJ-related government job cuts. With the deadline he set fast approaching, President Trump is pressing Congress to get it done, pass that big, beautiful bill.
As Senate Republicans struggle with how to cut billions of dollars from health care, the president is touting the signature domestic policy bill. He told a White House audience that Congress needs to pass the legislation
to secure our borders, turbocharge our economy, and bring back the American dream.
The president said the measure includes record tax and spending cuts, plus more money for border enforcement. He wants it on his desk by July 4th. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson is urging the gunman who ambushed, shot, and wounded 2 city police officers last night to turn himself in. And if he doesn't, Johnson says there is no getting away from the long arm of the law.
Know that the men and women of this department, on this police force, they're going to find you, they're going to arrest you, and you're going to be brought to justice anyway.
Both officers, 6-year veterans of the Milwaukee PD. One suffers non-life-threatening injuries, but the other officer is in critical condition. Key inflation gauge moved higher last month. The Commerce Department says that consumer prices rose 2.3% in May compared with a year ago, and that was up from just 2.1% in the month of April. Watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow is trading about 204 points higher, the Nasdaq up 72. Townhall.com.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Japan's Justice Ministry says a man convicted of murder for killing and dismembering 9 people in his Tokyo area apartment has been executed.
Japan's Justice Minister Keisuke Suzuki, who issued the execution order, has said the killer deprived victims of their precious lives over a period of 2 months, adding that the suffering of the bereaved families and the victims themselves was beyond imagination. Shiraishi admitted to murdering 9 suicidal victims whom he contacted on Twitter, now known as X. He then told them he could help them die, and in some cases claimed he would kill himself alongside them.
The BBC's Shama Halil says it's Japan's first execution in 3 years. Iranian Kurdish dissidents have been watching from abroad for signs that the government in Tehran may falter after the 12-day war. They include a handful of exiled Iranian Kurdish groups based in northern Iraq's semi-autonomous Kurdish region. News and analysis at townhall.com. Microsoft is rolling out a change that for many users of PCs could take some getting used to.
Nearly every Windows user has had a run-in with the infamous blue screen of death at some point in their computing life. Now, after 40 years of being set against a very recognizable blue, The updated error message will soon be displayed across a black background. The changes to the notorious error screen are part of broader efforts by Microsoft to improve the resiliency of the Windows operating system in the wake of last year's CrowdStrike incident, which crashed millions of Windows machines worldwide. Microsoft says it's streamlining what users experience when encountering unexpected restarts that cause disruptions, and that means a makeover to the infamous error screen. I'm Lisa Dwight.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The devil listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 2.
Pui, the deuce.
Mornings with Mike Winters. Right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Friday.
Ah, yes.
The sun's kind of shining.
Yeah,
it's partly cloudy.
You know what? It's not even kind of shining. It's as shiny as it's been all week.
You know what? You're right. It's as sunny as sunny's going to be this week.
It's more blue than white and gray.
Yeah.
And
the white is puffy white.
It's puffy white.
The ones out of my little.
When's the last
1
time?
1 foot by 6 foot window, whatever it is.
Now, see, here's where I make the callback reference. When's the last time you saw fluffy white cloud? Huh? Chia. It's still on our mind, folks. We're gonna make it happen.
Oh yeah, we gotta. I think we're leaning towards having like some kind of 24-hour video thing on it, and so yeah, we
need to have like a sit down meeting with sales department.
See, we're the creative. We need to get with the technical people to actually see if any of what we're thinking of is possible.
We're the idea guys. We have no idea if things have legs. We just pitch stuff.
They did shoot down. We were going to get Musk and shoot him into space and see if we could do a SpaceX, but they shot that one down. Sorry. It was like, what if we grow it in space, man? But no, we're on it still.
That's right.
Speaking of things from this is from my long past, but I got to ask a question because I was scrolling Facebook.
Okay.
And they presented me, I guess, a Facebook page called Growing Up Maryland. You know, because of my algorithms and what have you. They kind of, send you these things. But so there was a post on here, and I got to be honest, they're talking about a thing that apparently is a Maryland delicacy.
Okay.
That I remember having like twice as a kid. And forgotten about it in the annals of time. And now I'm like, as soon as I saw the post, like, I remember these. But now I'm curious if anybody's ever heard of this. Because I didn't realize it was a Maryland thing.
Okay.
But apparently it is. Stuffed ham.
No, I have no idea what stuffed ham?
Stuffed ham.
Like, okay, no, hold on. Is that, so I've had like stuffed chicken where it's like they take a chicken, they pound it out, and they roll it over where they put like stuffing inside?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what this is? Or?
But sort of. Yeah, it's apparently, according to the Post, it's an American delicacy originating from a small area in southern Maryland, the counties of St. Mary's, Charles, and Calvert. I grew up in Charles, by the way.
Nice.
And dating back to the 17th century. The ham is brined in salt, trimmed, sliced, and then stuffed with a combination of kale, cabbage, onions, celery, hot peppers, and various spices.
What?
It is traditionally wrapped in a cheesecloth and boiled for a few hours
to like
then
coagulate
served cold
it.
as a main dish.
That's crazy.
It is tucked into
looking.
potato rolls or between slices of bread. Yeah, I kind of had it on a sandwich, like a potato roll.
I'm not gonna lie, this kind of looks like somebody took baby poop and put it inside a ham.
It's actually quite good. I remember having it and enjoying it.
I mean,
but I've forgotten about it. Like
I wanna
it just
try it.
kind of. And then I saw this post, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember as a kid having. And then if you read like the comments on the post, most people just like me. I remember like one guy that made this and had this thing and had it.
That was like his thing.
Yeah, and but I just didn't know. I was like, has anybody else heard of stuffed ham, or is that legit? Like a.
It's funny when and this looks legit. Like I kind of want to try some of these. I mean, some of them I would put on the curb. But yeah, some of these do look really good. But it's always funny to me when like a region tries to trademark a dish. Like, this is our thing.
Yeah.
I have a friend from who's originally from Minnesota, and their big thing in Minnesota is, and this is what they call it, tater tot hot dish.
Is that like a tater tot casserole?
Yes, it's a casserole with tater tots on top, but they call it tater tot hot dish. It's huge in Minnesota. That's like their meal. You can't like Bogart casserole.
Right. That I feel like, now I love casserole and I love tater tots.
Mm-hmm.
Not a fan of tater tot based casseroles.
I feel like because, and this is a situation I ran into with another version of tots, which I won't mention the company, but the tot itself is such a bold flavor, like a bold potato flavor.
Sure.
It just takes over anything else. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's pieced potato.
Mhm.
So it takes over anything else you put it in or on.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, speaking of that, real quick, Sean and I pickled it up at Sonic yesterday.
I wasn't going to mention the company, but okay.
I mean, I'm going to talk about pickle tots, and there's only one place right now doing pickle tots.
That's fair.
That'd be obvious.
I didn't try all the pickle fairings.
Mhm.
Like, you had the pickled.
I had the
drink,
beverage, yes.
And I was like, that's a bridge too far for
I
me.
have thoughts. It's not bad. I love pickle
Yeah.
juice. I love pickles, and I love Grillos specifically. It's a partnership with Grillos.
Yeah,
Pickles.
they partnered up with that company.
And I love those pickles, but there is a point where it's just, what are we doing?
Right.
And the drink itself is a lime and pickle juice slush.
Okay.
But inside of it, and this is where Mike got grossed out.
Yeah.
You know how Sonic does those little flavor bubbles? Have you seen this? They're like boba balls.
Kind of like
basically.
the boba tea ball.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But what they do is they fill them with juice. In this case, they're full of pickle juice. So they're like little pickle explosions in your face.
No.
It was.
No, thank you.
It's just too much. I'll put it this way. This is how I thought about it. If you were on the set of Hot Ones and you were doing the Hot Ones challenge, and the only thing you had to relieve yourself was more hot sauce, like to cool. That's all. That's what you had to wash it down.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you're just getting inundated with pickle, and you're like, I need a break.
Yeah.
You reach for your drink, and, oh, it's pickle too, and you just get smothered with it.
Well, and now because they have a meal right now, and they've got their smasher burger,
right,
and they've got the Grillo pickle with that, so they got and that thing's got pickles,
And
crispy
cucumbers.
cucumbers, and then another kind of pickle. There's like 3 different types of pickle-based stuff.
And
on
then
it.
it's got that dilly
Then
ranch.
it's got the yeah. And so I was like, that's a lot, man. I guess. But I did say, you know what? I want to try the pickle seasoned tots.
Mm-hmm.
And first off, I got them, and it came in like the foot-long coney thing. And I looked at the guy, I didn't order a hot dog, man. And then he goes, oh. And then I looked, oh, those are the tots. Sorry. Yeah. So I got the tots. And I tried the tots. And when I first ate the tots, I was like, they just taste like tots.
Right.
Which they were fine. But as you go through the tots, that's when I got the pickle. And to be honest, if you like pickle but don't like all the pickle, I think the tots and maybe the fries, I didn't try the fries, might be the perfect middle buffer between you like taste of food with a hint of pickle, not other foods that taste like pickle.
The tots, the thing with that is the seasoning that they use.
Yeah.
Most of it didn't adhere to the tot itself.
Yeah.
So like what you get is by the end, you can kind of like scrape up the seasoning leavings, and that's why those last few were really pickle punch. You know, they really hit you in the face.
But I did kind of deliberately look for ones that had more dill on it.
Yeah.
And I could taste the pickle.
Oh yeah.
And I was getting them.
No, there was
overall that was a good. Like I would order another thing of those pickle tots.
I
Those
will
were good.
say this. Before I even left the parking lot, I said out loud to myself in my car by myself,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to have heartburn.
Yeah. Dill's your trigger,
And
huh?
boy, did I get hit.
Yeah.
I popped 2 famotidines and a Tums, and that barely took
Anything
me out.
anytime I look at tomato-based things, that's my trigger.
Heartburn, yeah,
it's
me
heartburn
too.
city right there. You spaghetti sauce, chili, or anything
That's the
like
thing
that.
is, why is it that the things that love us the most or
Yeah.
that we love the most hurt us the most? I
Yeah.
mean, it's so wrong.
I just look at it and start getting heartburn.
I love a good marinara, but I'm the same way. I'm like, if I have too much, it's just gonna.
Yeah, exactly.
Pay for it. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, if you want to pickle it up, the Sonic thing, and of course they don't. But I hadn't tried the burger.
Right.
Sean said if you have the pickle, like all things pickle person, you probably like that pickle drink.
You know what I kind of want to do is I kind of want to get a regular, okay, I'll give you a great example. You know how everybody was putting pickles in their Dr. Pepper like a year ago?
Yeah.
And that became the trend. I'd like to try those pickles, like those pickle balls, those bubbles inside of a Dr. Pepper.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
bet that would be pretty good.
Okay. Can you order that?
I would
Like a
imagine.
Custom drink? Like, hey, give me a Dr. Pepper with the pickle balls.
I
know they usually custom drinks at Sonic.
I'm going
right?
to
Don't
find
they?
out. I will find out.
There you go.
But yeah,
We'll report back.
Enjoy the Sonic X Grillo's marriage for a limited time at your local Sonic.
But I'm one of those weird people that like eat. Like, so I literally had a breakfast burrito and those pickle tots for lunch yesterday. They were pretty good.
Now, Sonic is home to my favorite breakfast burrito.
I get the ultimate meat one.
See, the
one I like.
the Super Sonic is the go-to for me because they put the pickled jalapenos in there.
I know, but
I love it.
that's all they put is pickled
I love
jalapeno.
it
Like
so
like
much.
I like if they put half the amount they put in, I'd be good. But I'm like, dude, it's all jalapenos. It's just too much. For
Oops,
me.
all jalapenos.
And in all fairness, and I like, but of peppers, jalapeno is one of my least favorite of the peppers.
Really?
I don't enjoy the taste of a jalapeno
I will
as compared
say
to other peppers.
Pepper-wise, now I don't know if chili counts, if the green chili counts as a pepper, but that's my one
Oh,
seed
yeah.
for sure. But I would say after that, maybe like poblano, Anaheim, and then jalapeno.
Yeah, jalapeno is not my favorite of peppers.
But if jalapeno is pickled, it jumps up a couple of notches.
That might be better.
I like the jalapenos when you do the poppers.
Poppers.
I like
can
them in
eat
popper
those,
form.
yeah. I can
I like them
handle
in
those
popper
real well.
form most, but usually in things, it's not like, especially eggs and stuff. I'd rather have green chili all over jalapeno every time.
I have a hot take.
Yeah.
I don't like bacon on poppers. Anything you've
Who
ever.
cannot like
Isn't that like an
bacon
ingredient on a popper?
Let me explain.
That's like not having cheese on a pizza.
Anytime you ever put bacon around another thing, especially something that has moisture built in, you are never ever going to get crispy bacon. You're never going to get a crunch from that bacon.
Oh, you want a
It's
crunch.
going to be flimsy and chewy. And yeah, it's going to have that bacon flavor, which is nice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't it's not right.
In popper form,
I like crispness to my bacon.
I do too, but in the popper form, I'm okay with it. I like it as kind of a little meat blanket around this veggie.
Have you had my poppers?
Yes, and yours are fantastic.
Oh, yeah,
Even
that's where we
with
got the
the
shrimp
bacon,
and the
those
pineapple.
are great.
Yeah, those we do the pineapple cream cheese and the shrimp, little baby scrimps. And
That
the
that
bacon.
pineapple cream cheese.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
puts it together, doesn't
it
it?
makes you want to punch a baby. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, it's the way to go. A little sweet with your creamy.
Of course, there's a lot of things in life that make me want to punch a baby. I'll be honest. I've used that reference probably more often than I should. This is a nice bagel. Where's your baby? Where's the baby?
But yeah, the pickle tots all right.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. I know Bill's here. I don't know if our sheriff's department.
haven't seen the officers yet.
So we'll just
but-
keep going and we'll go on. Chavis County Manager Bill Williams is going to join us here in just a few. Give us an update on last county commission meeting and other things happening around the county this morning. We're also scheduled to have Sheriff's Department. We'll see if they make it in. If not, it's an hour of power with Bill. So we'll do that. And then later on, we'll get you up to date with the news and all that good stuff. And now we've been talking about all this food. That stuffed ham, though, is actually pretty good.
I'm genuinely curious about
I've
trying
forgotten all about it until I saw it. It's like, I remember as a kid, like when I worked at that meat room, I've told stories of that. There was one of the butchers there, and every year Christmas, it's usually around Christmas is when I'd see it. He'd make a stuffed ham, and we'd have stuffed ham.
I know we have a guest to get to, but I have to know.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it in stores before. I've seen it in memes.
Yeah.
Were you ever part of the process of making clown loaf?
No, I guess not.
I'll have to find a picture and send it to you. But exists a loaf that it is made to look like a clown's face.
Ugh.
And it's like olives and pimentos and stuff that they use to make it look like a clown's face, but it's called clown loaf. It exists, and I'm curious if you ever were privy to making it.
Like, all of this to me equals the movie Killer Clowns from Outer Space happening at Circus while eating clown loaf. That's like all one big image in my head there. So, by the way, if you have no idea what that movie is, go check it out. It is god awful, but it's stupid scary.
All right. This is clown loaf, and I'll post a picture over on the 106.5 Talk FM Facebook page.
Yeah.
But that's clown loaf.
Oh, that's nightmare fuel.
It's like different shades of meat that they used.
You know what?
To make a face of a clown.
You put two more, put a couple salamis for ears, and you could sell it to Disney.
It does have a Mickey-esque quality to it, right?
Just saying, you could see that at Disney World on the sandwich.
Why? But why?
You know what, though?
So many questions, and they're all why.
If I do get that loaf, I'm not. But if I ever did, but if I ever did, I'm frying it like bologna.
You know, I feel like that face would fry up quite nicely.
That's a bologna frying face right there. All right, 8:21. Here's your weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We could get a shower or thunderstorm today. Our afternoon high will be in the low 90s. We still have a little bit of moist air coming in from the south. Then tonight, some clouds, and our overnight low will be in the mid-60s. We get sunshine on Saturday, mid-90s for the afternoon high. Maybe a shower around Carlsbad, but sunshine everywhere else. Sunny and hot on Sunday. We're in the upper 90s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 73 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 18%. That's different. It's been like 80, 90%. Now we're at 18, more than what we're used to, which means don't throw a match around. Because probably actually, you're good to about noon. Then the fires will start. Winds will be out of the south at 6 miles per hour currently. We are looking at a 30% chance at afternoon showers about after 3 today. Partly cloudy, 87 for a high. South winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. 20% tonight before 9 p.m., so 3 to 9 is our sweet spot for moisture if we're getting any today. 67 for an overnight low with south winds 5 to 10. No talk of rain for Saturday, mostly sunny, 94 for a high. Southeast winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Cloudy Saturday night with an overnight low of 68. South winds 5 to 10. Sunny on Sunday, 95 for a high. South winds 5 to 10. And then monsoon moisture back in the forecast. Sunday night, a 20%, but Monday we're looking at a 40% with a high of 92. Tuesday, a 40% with a high of 88. And then 30% chances of rain as of right now for Wednesday and Thursday of next week. But that's a long time between now and then. It'll change. 8:22, we're going to take a 3-minute break, and then Chaves County Manager Bill Williams will join us here on the other side. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
The 2025 UFO Festival is coming to downtown Roswell July 3rd through the 6th.
Many files are classified, but here's what we know so far.
Inflatables, foam parties, meet Baby Yoda, Charlie the Clown, Robotron, and the 501st Dewback Ridge Garrison Stormtroopers. Visit the vendors and Main Street merchants for souvenirs, and you're sure to have fun along the way.
The classified schedule of events can be found at UFOfestival.com.
Presented by the City of Roswell, Main Street Roswell, and paid for in part by the City of Roswell Lodgers Tax.
This just in, Roswell Hyundai is open all weekend. Yup, even on Sunday, with vehicles slashed to just $222 a month across the lot. Plus, no payments for 90 days and up to $2,000 for your trade. And 0% for up to 60 months on 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe. Then join Roswell Hyundai Sunday from 11 to 4 for Jolly Jumps for the kids. Free tacos and agua frescas from Tacos Pita. Free Amy's Fireworks just for stopping by. And register now to win a $300 Amy's Fireworks package to be given away Thursday, July 3rd at noon sharp. All weekend long at Roswell Hyundai, 1909 West 2nd.
Did you know almost 75% of the time we're replacing a roof, something totally weird or unexpected or bizarre happens? Jennifer here again from Trustmark Roofing, and I want you to know that we are always prepared for the unexpected. That's why we always have project superintendent on site at your home at all times to handle those weird, bizarre things as they pop up. Things like an unexpected layer of wood shake shingles under your shingles or rotted out decking boards, problems with flashing or ridges or missing supplies that somebody needs to chase down. These are the kinds of problems that normally grind the crews from other roofing companies to a halt and delay the project. But not with our super awesome superintendent there. He's equipped to handle any problem and keep the project moving along smoothly. Just one more way we do things better at Trustmark Roofing. If you have any roofing needs, call us at 575-755-ROOF or find us online at trustmarkroofpros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
Our world is in desperate need of kindness. In the Apostle Paul's letter to Titus and the church in Crete, he encourages them to be peaceable and considerate, and always to be gentle toward everyone. So why do we need to be kind? Then Paul writes this, "But when the kindness and love of God our Savior appeared, he saved us, not because of righteous things we had done, but because of his mercy." I think what Paul is saying is that we're called to be kind and considerate of others because of the kindness that God has shown us by forgiving our sins. We are kind in response to the kindness that we've been shown. God doesn't call us to agree on everything. He just calls us to be kind. I love this quote. If you have to choose between being kind and being right, choose being kind and you'll always be right. There's so much meanness and division in our world. Choose today to be kind to those who you encounter. You will be amazed at the positive difference a little kindness can make.
Join us at the Country Club Road Church of Christ for worship at 10 a.m. on Sunday, located on the corner of Country Club and Washington in Roswell.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Sigmund Freud once believed that cocaine could be used to help treat a morphine addiction. Mike used bacon to get over his addiction to beef. Here's Mike Winters.
100 pounds later, I'm cured. Good morning. It is 26 minutes after 8 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning, Chavis County Manager Bill Williams back with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I thought you used your bacon to get over your addiction to stuffed ham.
That's right.
That's...
It's actually pretty good. I mean, I know people like kale and ham, but I forgotten all about it. But I remember as a kid enjoying it and liking it. And yeah, it was all right. So,
well, as you were talking about it, I started thinking about that. Was it ham loaf or something that they have in squares at the grocery store? And the one that nobody buys.
Yeah,
I can't remember what that one's called.
Well, as a rule of thumb, I generally stay away from meat products that are called loaf. That's just that's just my general rule of thumb. So, I mean, I will eat meatloaf, but I'm not going to the deli and getting an olive loaf or even pea loaf or
stuff floating around in the middle of your sausage.
Clown loaf.
Not
but of course, county met a little later this month because of this is every June, isn't it?
Almost every June.
Yeah.
Association of Counties usually meets the third week in June, and so we have to adjust our schedule. We thought that we weren't going to have to this year, and we did. That's why some people didn't get it on their calendars. Nobody close here, but we changed.
I just always do third week.
We changed it after the fact. We in January approved the meeting dates for all the meetings, and that particular one came back up in March or April. I don't remember. So whoa, this isn't going to work. So we did that, and next month's meeting will also be the 4th.
Okay.
And that's because in July, we usually wait that extra week to have the commission meeting. It gives the finance department a little bit longer to close out the books and give the actual numbers for the final budget.
For folks that don't have their heads in the business world, July is the start of the fiscal year.
Yes, it's the start of our new fiscal year, and our interim budget is approved. I mean, it's essentially our budget, but it can't be the final budget until they know exactly how much money was not spent and the numbers are balanced.
So for a couple weeks there, you're playing on house money for a little bit, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Until people sign some stuff.
So anyway, we've got that coming up, and it's looking good. Our auditors have started again for this year. We've finished an audit, we started an audit, and we have some really tough auditors. They do forensic audits. I started to say florensic. I guess that's where they give you flowers before they give you the bad news. I don't know.
They give all your documents in edible bouquets.
but they do a deep dive on all of our stuff, and we have the same company. We got an extension for them to do it for one more year.
Okay.
Because of our FEMA transactions and our federal stuff. So rather than start with a new entity and have to get them up to speed.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of different reporting requirements.
Makes sense.
If you have a federal audit.
So let's not have any disasters or anything between now and then, so we can start fresh. Next.
So the Department of Finance Authority says, yeah, you can use them for one more year, and they are so good, but it makes everybody shake in their boots because it's like, my gosh, these guys are looking at things, and I hope they don't find anything wrong. And it's in processes that they look for. They look for opportunities for people to do the wrong thing.
Gotcha.
And we make sure that we have checks and balances built in within the entire organization, within all of our processes to make sure that nothing can go awry. And man, they have got devious minds. They know where to look.
Well, and that's,
they have probably found it in other places.
And that's a good thing. Yeah, I'm about to say it's probably based on what they've seen in other entities and municipalities and things. And,
right.
And unfortunately, this is one of those things that, humanity, most of us are doing the right thing. It's that minor percentage that always are conniving and working and figuring out a way that, it's the same. And it doesn't matter if it's finance or anything else. For every mousetrap you build, there's someone else building a way to escape it. That's just the way there is.
I always say the reason we have so much red tape is because somebody somewhere figured out a way to lie, cheat, or steal and so they had to throw a rule in there. Don't do this because this could happen.
Yeah.
And 99.99% of people wouldn't do it or wouldn't try it.
Wouldn't even enter their brain.
They have to put a rule there because some fool somewhere decided they were going to do it.
Everyone finds the loopholes and everything else, so the way to find the chink in the armor, so to speak.
We had a fairly condensed meeting agenda yesterday. We had 13 items that had to do with DWI, all the agreements and everything. So it looks pretty big on paper, but you
can knock it out in one pen stroke. A lot of this stuff,
right? There were 13 things there, and they went over what each one of them was and who it was. But then they approved them in one kind of fell swoop.
Gotcha. So you got to really lay it on the table so everyone understands it. But we can vote it all on one kind of deal
right,
here.
Because they're all the same thing. And, of course, our chairman recuses himself because his wife works a lot with the DWI programs. She puts on the every 15 minutes in the schools and the project
She does an amazing job with all that, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That program has just gone and done better.
Well, when they just did the every 15 minutes and I got a chance to interview the family, that was all Diane making that stuff happen. Right. She's awesome at that job. Yeah.
So as compact, if you want to call it, the agenda was, it still took us a long time. We were there till almost noon yesterday. So
a lot of reading.
Oh my gosh. I don't know where the disconnect was, but I'm sure it had to do with me being too talkative. So
you think about all that ham and
exactly. So the first thing we did is we opened up with a change order, a couple of change orders for the Pecos Valley Regional Communication Center. We're building a new facility for them down the hall in what used to be called Area D. It was an ad alternate when they built the county building, so it's a pretty large space, and they built it that way, vacant, so that they could put the courts there when they remodeled the downtown courthouse.
Gotcha.
They didn't put bathrooms in it, unfortunately. They brought portable bathrooms. The judges were there. They had their offices over in another building that we own close by, and they'd take golf carts back and forth while they were doing courts, while they were remodeling the downtown courthouse. About 20 years ago, many people were here and remember the disarray downtown during that time. It was quite a project, to renovate the historic courthouse and do the additions that we see today on the backside over on Virginia Street.
I wonder if they saved up, all right, we got room for one more on the golf cart before we head to the bathroom.
Maybe so. So we took Area D. It didn't have any bathrooms or anything. It was for quite a few years after the judges moved out, after they moved back downtown to the courthouse, it was a glorified storage area.
Gotcha.
Everybody had their stuff that they didn't have a place to keep in their office.
It was the catch-all for everything else.
The Christmas tree that we put in the lobby there at the county building. Lots of stuff. Of course, the voting machines are stored there too, but that's pretty important stuff. They have to be under lock and key.
I'm about to say,
no one can get close to those.
Can't be tampered with.
The other part was kind of more open storage, and people might have it in a little room, but I mean, it wasn't secure like the voting stuff is. So we said, well, in order to utilize this, we really need to add a new entrance. We do have a plan to renovate the parking lot and connect it to the other parking lots. We've not done that yet. But we put a new entrance and we put large public bathrooms in there. And The voting still happens there. It's essentially become their county
Yeah.
voting place, and it had been for a while. But now instead of parking and going around the end of the building,
You can go
through
down.
the doors. There's an actual front opening that looks like you're welcome there, and you're not having to sneak past the dumpsters to get
Sure.
in.
Well, you can still go the other way, but it's kind of lost its sea
down
of
the
high
hall.
walls.
Oh my
and
gosh, yeah.
everything.
Bring your mountain bike and your
That's right.
hiking boots if you're going to go
You're
that
like,
direction.
then one hallway
So-
starts looking like the other hallway. I was like, I'm just trying to vote.
I went all the way down there, and I stepped out and was outside the building.
That's
So I
right.
came back. Now where do I go? Well, you walk all the way back down there, go outside of the building, then go back in the
I
building.
went through this one door and the guy's serving fish sandwiches. I didn't know what was going on.
So we've been looking for a while at what was the best way to utilize that portion of the county building. And so we added the bathrooms, we added the new entrance, we've made sure that the voting stuff is secure, and we've added a new dispatch area.
Gotcha.
The dispatch area is at the sheriff's office currently. It's pretty small. It's like 900 square feet for all the people that work there, all the consoles. They have huge consoles. I'm sure you've been in there.
Oh, I've walked through there, yeah.
You know, they've got pictures of everything going, and
But it is
it's
also because there's a lot of glass and stuff too, and so they're kind of like on display a lot when you walk in and
Right,
stuff too. And
right.
So yeah, it's probably not the most ideal spot for them.
Well, we gave a lot of discussion, or had a lot of discussions with them, and tried to figure out what was the best way to do it. And when we did the design, we brought them in and asked them to tell us, what would you like to see here? What would you like to see here? One thing we found is there's really not a good meeting room if we need like an incident command. So a lot of times they'll meet in the sheriff's training room. You know, like
Gotcha.
when we had the floods and stuff, they met there. But we need a place where everyone can sit around the same table.
Sure.
During floods, well, I'll call
So you can have a
so-and-so, and I'll
powwow
call
here.
so-and-so. Well, so-and-so's over at the fire department, and it's kind of a disconnect. So now there's a large conference room built into this
Yeah.
dispatch
'Cause
area
they're-
so that they can go directly out of dispatch. They can meet with the people that are going to be contacting them, and dispatch, of course, organizes and
Gotcha.
keeps things moving on the ground.
Because
for-
pretty much the space they have now is just and it kind of looks like a mission control type,
Yeah.
I mean, not quite, but if you went and saw NASA's mission, it has a feel of that because it's a lot of screens,
there's so much packed in
but
there.
but it's really little cubicles, it's not
Right.
like you said, a room where 10 people could get in there and talk.
And the new space is much larger. I think they have room in there for 9 consoles. I think that's correct. I think there's room for a couple of extras, but
Okay.
but it's more than they have. I think that the room itself, where the actual dispatchers sit, is 3 times the size of the old place.
Oh, great.
Plus, they have other offices down. There's a couple of offices in the current dispatch, but they're kind of like just off on the side. Like,
Sure.
well, there was a space there, so
We
let's
just
throw a
crowbarred
couple of
some
walls,
offices,
you know. And they're tiny, so there's barely room for a desk and the computer, and then whoever's in there trying to work. And
Right.
Dispatch is right outside, and you can't really detach yourself if you're trying to have a phone call and
Sure.
dispatch is going on. I don't know how they accomplish it, but
A lot of
the new
noise.
space, they have offices down the hall. They have access to the
Okay.
big conference room.
So they
for-
kind of have their own little wing now.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's isolated from where the voting takes place because we, of course, have to assure the safety of voting and protect the voting machines and all that. So,
and not to mention, I'm pretty sure you don't want to hear what's going on in the dispatch office out in the voting area too, depending on some of the nature
Yeah.
of some of the calls they take.
and they will have their secure parking. One of the things currently at dispatch is they're right out there by themselves at night. People coming in, changing shifts, and so they will have a secure gated area where
Gotcha.
they can park.
So you can have a little more
the
protection for
the
themselves.
warrants and things. If an officer comes to get a warrant, instead of someone going outside and handing it to them physically, it'll have a tube like they have at the bank, so you
Nice.
can shoot it over there, take it out of the tube, send the tube back, kind of thing. So we're really excited to see all that happen. But we had 2 or 3 minor change orders on that. Nothing real significant, but just things that came up throughout the process.
Like,
One
wouldn't it
of
be
them
cool if we
was-
had this? Yeah.
was adding, well, it wasn't so much it would be cool if we had this, but things that we recognized during the construction. We didn't think about that.
Gotcha.
For instance, isolating the voting machines a little bit better. They're behind a locked door, but we said, but still, you've got people here 24 hours a day, and I'm not saying that
We don't want to tempt fate.
yeah, people coming and going. We need that area to have walls on both ends so that it can be alarmed and everything like it currently is, so that we instantly know if someone's in there.
Sure.
Whereas if you turn the alarms off, so everybody can come and go. That doesn't work so well.
Right. And in theory, it's a weakness in the protection there.
Right. And it's kind of like what I was talking about with the financial audits. You know, we look for weaknesses in our processes and all, and we identified that during the building process.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, this isn't quite what we had in mind. We want to be sure that we maintain.
You think about it, it's like, 90% of the time we won't have a problem, but that one time there will be the problem,
Right.
and that's what we got to be ready for.
And you know, we're very fortunate. We have a county clerk's office, and they take voter integrity and their job very, very seriously. I guess there's places in our nation and our world that don't
A little
take
more
it as
lackadaisical
seriously.
about it. Yeah.
But I guarantee you, our county clerk Cindy and her staff, they don't mess around.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Well, they get what they're entrusted with. You know what I mean?
They take it very seriously,
Yep.
and they do a wonderful job, a great job there.
And they
So-
take it seriously, and that's why. And this is, I don't want to get down. This is why I kind of think, when certain positions like county clerk, I'm like, I get it why it's an electable position, but not any willy-nilly person can just roll up and decide to be clerk one day, is what I'm saying. You
my
got
gosh.
It's a skilled position that requires lots of training, lots of expertise, and I'm sorry, that's just not a voted in the public person type position to me.
I've been at the county for 10 years,
Yeah.
and a lot of the staff at the clerk's office, the same staff that had been there when I started.
Yeah.
And they have been doing nothing but studying. I mean, they're constantly studying. They're constantly learning new things about
Yeah.
elections. This is a great segue because I didn't mean to segue from PVRCC to elections, but we have some resolutions that had to do with elections. So
Excellent.
We had a resolution changing 3 polling places and adding 2 monitored security containers for the 2025 general election. So
Great.
first, the new polling places. So one of the places we switched to recently was we were having a voting area at the museum downtown.
Yes.
Of course, we had a flood.
That's not available. Yeah.
But before the flood, they were renovating. So we switched from there over to the Civic Center.
Gotcha.
And
That's
everything
not.
was good. It's no longer
But
good.
now, yeah.
So that space is no longer available. So they went with St. Andrew's Church. I
Okay.
believe is where they went. The other 2 places were changes from schools where they had done them. So we have 2 new schools that are perfectly accessible with ADA, and it's one of the things again that the clerk is very concerned
Absolutely.
about, is assuring that everybody, regardless of your
And the district's pretty much done every school now, so they're all.
regardless of your physical ability,
Yeah.
they want to be sure you can get in.
Anybody can get to
into
where they
vote.
need to, yeah.
And so they changed from Sierra Middle School to El Cap.
Okay.
And they changed to the new Del Norte School.
Very good.
So that they would have more accessibility.
So-
Is their main purpose for
So if you-
changing those voting places.
So if next election, if you want to, you don't have a reason to be in Del Norte normally, then you want to check out the new digs, go vote there.
Actually, I haven't been over there. I really
I
would
haven't
like
either.
to go see that. That's
Yeah.
a neat looking school.
Yeah, I haven't
And,
either, so.
I live out in the country, and so every time I drive past the new Nancy Lopez, it's starting to really show, and I'm kind of anxious to see it.
But
as
unless you
well.
got kids or anything in there, you really have no need or
Yeah.
business to be hanging out
No
in those
need or-
places.
Yeah, kinda run
and
you
usually
off.
frown upon you doing that. So,
but the clerk, they identified these new spots and asked that they be approved. Now, the 2 monitored secure containers, those are drop boxes.
Okay.
That came from the New Mexico Secretary of State. So everybody's going to have 2 drop boxes.
Okay.
And
Whether you want them or not.
whether you want them or not, whether you think that's safe, there's all kinds of issues. And it was mandated.
Yeah.
And Cindy Fuller, our clerk, she went back and forth with the Secretary of State on many of the factors involved with this. Ultimately, they put 1 monitored secure drop box container at the early voting place there in what we used to call Area D at the county.
Gotcha.
The other one is in the parking lot on Virginia Street across from the courthouse. So
Okay.
there's a pole near the alley.
Okay.
You see there's a big box on the top, and that's because they have to provide internet access and 24-hour cameras
Okay.
on our tax.
So is it adjacent
dime.
to the parking lot there across from the courthouse?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
one of those poles out
Yeah.
there? Gotcha.
So on the north end of that parking lot on the east side, there's
Coming out to UFO Festival this weekend. Be on the lookout for it.
there's a big box at the top, and that's because they have to provide cameras and internet
Gotcha.
and all that stuff for it all the time. And when they're not in use, they have to padlock them shut so no one can throw their garbage in there.
Sure, use them for.
And then when they are in use, they can only be in use certain times, and they have to check them every 3 days to remove anything that's in there.
Okay.
So there's a whole bunch of rules and regulations, but those were done. The other thing was we designated the polling places, all of the polling places for the 25 or 26 primary and general elections, 27 regular local elections. So
Gotcha.
they approved that. And then the appointment to the Chaves County Board of Registration, which also has to do with voting. Let's see if I can remember all 5 individuals. Dave Kunko,
former clerk.
former county clerk.
Yeah.
He's a wealth of knowledge for them.
Absolutely.
Sarah MacArthur, Rita Kane, gentleman by the name of Johnson. I can't remember his first name. It's not Daryl. And the other one is Mrs. Helms.
Okay.
So that's the 5, and so
Nice.
those were all approved as well. So
very good.
So voting is. Look at this. We're planning for the 2027 regular local election. That's how far out they have to plan things. That's how far out they have to assure that things are done and done right.
Yeah.
And again, like I say, that they're constantly monitoring security. Those machines are always under lock and key. When I ran the facilities at the place, I had a key. I could get in there. I never went in there without calling the clerk and asking, because they had to disable the alarm. I did not have the alarm code.
It's kind of like
even though it was a county building.
It's like the nukes. You got to have a 2-person system to get into this
Right.
deal. Yeah.
And they really take it very seriously, and they do a great job with that. So
that's that's why we were very appreciative of why the clerk. We say it for years, and whether it was Dave or Cindy, whoever is filling that role, they always do amazing jobs. Every time I talk to them, the amount of work they get. That's why I keep saying about the election, that's a skilled position. That's not an elected. Not anybody can just roll in and do that job.
Well, and it's not just the elected clerk, but you've got Stephanie and you've got Casey that both work really hard. They're very well trained, highly trained to do that job, and they just really knock it out of the park.
Absolutely.
The team is just really, really great.
Absolutely.
I'm going to move on to the top 10 priority projects for the ICIP,
Okay.
the Infrastructure Capital
It
Improvement
is that time
Plan.
of year to get the list in order, right?
So we start working on that, probably about March of every year. Every department is told, what are your projects? What do you want to do for 2027 to 2031? It's a 5-year plan. So this particular one that they just approved yesterday would be the 27 to 31 plan.
Gotcha.
Any projects over $60,000 that we would like to do, that we present those to the legislators. We look for funding sources, those kind of things.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember, but you sequentially put it in terms of importance, right? Like,
yes,
the most important thing's number 1, the least important's number 10.
Right, on each year,
yes.
It goes that way. So if you have a project, you say, well, I think in 27 we need to start this kind of a project. In 28, because that one's going to be done, we need to, or 29,
Gotcha.
then we'll want to do this because they complement each other. So there's a lot of planning goes into place.
Gotcha.
And it's every department, whether it's facility maintenance, whether it's public services, whether it's the road department. I mentioned them already. Anyway, whoever it is,
right?
They all have their own plans, and they send them in, and we have to sift through them and prioritize. They prioritize them on their basis, but then we go through and we say, okay, what are our top 10 priorities for next year? Because those are the ones we're going to aggressively seek funding and stuff for.
Hopefully the legislature has.
Yeah, and we're pretty fortunate. They usually tell us to present 3 to 5 items, and they only have limited amounts of money, our local legislators, and so they try to make that go as far as possible, and they ask us to be considerate and not bring them a $6 million project.
Sure.
And we need to find other funding.
It's like, work with us and we'll work with you, kind of thing.
But they do a great job. All of our legislators historically have just been there for us. They've been here for our county. They've been here for our local municipalities. They do a really good job of that.
And part of that thing too is getting this list right. It's they will fund things that seem like they are good projects to fund, but if you got people that are just shooting for the moon on this list, and it's like, we want a spaceport and a train that goes here to that, they're just going to laugh at you.
Yeah, pork projects don't make this list on any level. So we take the main list, and then in-house we kind of assess, okay, what do we think should be the top 10 projects for this coming year? We don't expect the county commission to sift through every tiny project and say, well, this one, that one. It would take them hours.
That's
and
a lot of
days.
micromanaging.
And that's why they hire us.
That's
to
right.
do the
Here's the big bucks.
So we give them a list with all of the projects on it. So if a constituent has called them and say, hey, I'd really like this project to be, they can go in there and they can find it and say, hey, this project I think should be on the list. You know, they can do that. So they have the entire list.
So if there's a popularity thing, they can pick and push it up higher.
Yeah, they could do that.
Gotcha.
And what we do in-house is we take that master list and we condense it down to what we believe should be the top 10. And we prioritize them in the top 10, and we give them that plus the master list. So it's an open book. We say, this is what we think. And often they'll say, well, I like number 8. I'd rather see you do number 8 than number 2. And there's some discussion or whatever. And they mix and match and move it around.
Gotcha.
So that we can get we accept the top 10 and we leave them in whatever order they prefer them to be.
Because at some point,
in.
you're just thankful to get any of them funded.
Right. So we have 10 to choose from.
Right.
And then if before we go to the legislators, we find out, hey, there's a big pot of money for this type of thing. We might
bump up our
want
priority.
to present number 6 rather than number 5
because the money's going that way.
Because the money may go that way.
Yeah.
So we have 10. We usually pick from the top 5 to pursue funding.
Gotcha.
And so this year's top 10. Are you ready?
Get our Dave Letterman list. And number 10.
The number 1 priority for this coming year is courthouse elevator number 6 replacement. That is one of the old elevators in the original part of the courthouse. We don't know if it's an original elevator or if it was installed in the 1930s.
It's
or
the
40s,
first elevator ever.
but it's certainly at least 70 years old.
Put this way.
Maybe older, and it's not unsafe. We're not worried about it dropping to the basement, which is not a huge drop, but it often will leave people stranded for a while. Door sensors and stuff don't work. We work on elevators constantly over there because there's a lot of maintenance issues with them and maintenance requirements. Not issues so much, but requirements.
And I'm going to take a stab, too, that older elevators are probably harder to service, repair, replace parts for.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's probably more cost efficient at the end of the day to just swap it out for a new one, where it can be serviced much more easily than that 70-year-old elevator is.
So, I'm not very good with my phone. I messed it up there. I did get it back, though. So the elevator is one thing, and I did mention to Stan Riggs is our attorney. And just before Stan Riggs left for Albuquerque, his wife, of course, was the district judge, and his mother-in-law came to visit. She was at the courthouse one day, and one of my biggest memories is Judge Riggs and her mother were stranded in the elevator at the courthouse.
They got the tour.
For about 45 minutes.
Ooh.
And Stan was the manager, and oh my gosh, we didn't need that to happen. We really
think he got an earful that night.
Oh my gosh, poor Stan. I still think about it. So, but anyway, the courthouse elevator is truly a need, and we get by with what we can as long as we can, but we've got to at some point.
Of course, that could be
replace.
alternative sentencing.
Yes.
You got 6. You got 6 tries in the old elevator.
You got 6 rides in the elevator. Good luck.
That's right.
If you've been to the Chaves County building recently, you've noticed that the trees have all gotten big. They started out pretty small trees out in front of the Chaves County building, and they've all gotten pretty big. The concrete is starting to heave, so we've had to grind areas down on the concrete to keep people from tripping. We have a need to go in and redo all of the concrete and the landscaping out in front of the county building.
Good deal. So the trees aren't going, but the concrete might be moved around.
Well, we may have to put different trees. We may be able to save some of those trees.
I hope so.
It's
always a bummer when you have to get rid of nice
it really
trees
is.
like that.
And those are really neat.
Yeah.
They flower and it looks really nice.
Absolutely.
When they do.
And plus they just put a great amount of shade on them.
And of course, we're in a different era than we were when the courthouse was built. And people like to crash into public buildings and stuff with trucks and
We've had
whatever.
a truck or two drive up those steps.
Yes, let's not go there, Mike. Let's not go. Bad time. So we will probably design it with some sort of a protection bollard. The whole front of the building was glass, and if they were having a commission meeting, someone could do some harm.
And there's a lot of architective history. That dome very much, and God forbid if you hit enough down there, that comes. What comes down comes down. That does happen.
So the front of the entrance needs the improvement and needs some concrete work and stuff. One of the projects we've been working on, we worked on it pretty extensively last year, is the Roswell Refuge Shelter for Battered Adults. That building several buildings kind of combined. I don't know how long the county's owned it, probably since the 1970s. And
they put a lot of Band-Aids on that building.
They put
over
a
the
lot of Band-Aids, and it got to the point where we said, no, we've got to initiate some real
major renovations,
major, systems. And last year, I think we got all the heating, cooling stuff done, some plumbing stuff done. But
do they lose? Like, do you have to basically kick everybody out to do that, or can they do that while they're still living?
So far we've been able to do everything kind of surgically.
Gotcha. But I imagine if there's some major work, at some point you're going to have to pull people out of there to do that.
So far I think the heating and cooling, we were able to, their rooftop units mostly are split systems, so you can do that while people are there. The plumbing, we did have to keep people out of certain areas while they were doing some plumbing, and I think there's another round of plumbing may have to be done, which will be a little more difficult to work around. But a lot of it's just painting, replacing lights, new carpeting, new flooring,
updating, maintenance.
Exterior stuff, not siding because it's stucco, but the trim and those sorts of things, they get forgotten when, especially an entity like that relies on donations.
Well, and every dime they get has bigger fish to fry with it. You know what I mean?
They do a really good
job.
Painting
the baseboards is not necessarily high on the priority list.
They do a really good job of doing the job that they're supposed to do.
They're saving people's lives, and sometimes they ain't got time to make sure the pillows are fluffed.
So we're working with them, trying to assure that we get another good chunk of money to kind of get that building back in better condition, and that's huge. We need a fuel island. The Environment Department no longer likes above ground tanks, really, just the old metal fuel tank. And we have one left that's a metal fuel tank with a berm around it. That's not ideal. We do double containment tanks, so you have a concrete tank within another tank. We don't do any buried tanks anymore because those are highly regulated.
I'm about to say,
for good reason.
That's got its own list of problems and things, yeah.
And our number 5 is Mountain View Road. We want to do some improvements on Mountain View Road. They're getting ready to build a new school there.
Okay.
And I thought, well, this would be an ideal time for us to go ahead and get the road in a condition that would handle the additional traffic going to a new school and, the bus lanes and all that stuff, get all that kind of.
Absolutely.
Well, we don't do the bus lanes. That's on their property. But the road leading
to get to the bus lanes,
we want to do that. And then to round out the top 10, we've got a cooling tower at the courthouse. Some of those maintenance things. We try to be proactive and not reactive to any large maintenance things. We had a roof last year was one of the big things that we asked for some assistance with because, roofs on large public buildings can get very, very expensive. And so
on small ones, they get expensive.
We asked for some help there. The administrative center down south, again, it's over 20 years old now. There is some cracks in the stucco, and we need to kind of take a look at that kind of stuff. Some cameras, again, at the detention facility. We're constantly upgrading, putting new cameras in. So security cameras there. If you've been to the detention center, Mike.
I was just there last week. I did a pinch it. No, I'm just kidding.
So they didn't give you the elevator sentence. They actually gave you time.
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did time. Well, they put me in a room and made me tell jokes. It was weird.
So on the west side of the detention center is a big gravel parking lot, and some years back we did pour concrete slabs, so there was handicap parking accessibility, but that's where people have to stop if they need to go in and interact with the administrative office. They used to have the visitation stuff there. Of course, they do all that by video now.
Yeah.
So that is just a big dirt parking lot, and it's never been improved. So we'd like to at some point improve that parking lot.
Good deal.
And it's pretty far down the list because it's probably not a huge priority. Well, it's not a huge priority, but it is something we need to get done. So it made it up this year. We'll see if we can find funding to do it.
That might be something you see in a couple of years down the road.
And then another road is McGaffey, West McGaffey Road pavement work. So we've got all those things.
Anytime you're talking pavement, I'm like, yes, please do that.
Please pavement. And since I have my phone open, because I have some notes on my phone, another thing that we did yesterday, we passed 2 separate resolutions pertaining to local agriculture, you might say. So one of them was a resolution supporting the incorporation of ivermectin into livestock and wildlife feeds.
Okay.
And the reason for that is we have what's called the New World screwworm fly. So it pretty much has been eradicated in the United States since 1966.
Okay.
and in big part due to the fact that in Panama, the United States built a sterile fly breeding facility. You may have heard earlier this week that one is going in San Antonio. So
that's a lot of different words put together. I never thought I'd be hearing put together before.
Exactly.
All right.
So they breed sterile male flies.
Okay.
And then when they go and wink at the female fly and things happen, nothing happens.
Whoa.
But it finishes their life cycle and they think that they're complete. So they don't actually lay screwworm eggs in wounds on wildlife cattle. I mean,
interesting.
The screwworm has been known to infest, wildlife, whether it's goats, deer,
Gotcha. It's
whatever,
a problem. Yeah.
cattle, even rare cases in humans, But so a typical blowfly, for instance, might go and if you branded, for instance, your cows, it might lay its eggs and the larvae are they're going to live subcutaneously in the skin. They're going to be right there on the surface. They don't do a lot of, pretty gross, but,
right?
But anyway, they don't really harm an animal.
Okay.
But a screwworm, when they lay their eggs, that thing burrows down into the actual muscle tissue.
Okay,
and
inside.
it cripples and kills.
Oh wow!
Kills the animals.
Okay.
And
We're out of time here, but
okay. So I'll do this really quick. So we passed a resolution requesting that the FDA allow the feed producers to add powdered ivermectin because they can. As they're eating, it'll kill the flies.
And have your flies spayed or neutered today, as Bob Barker used to tell us.
That's funny. The last thing, I'll leave it at this. We also passed a resolution in support of Catron and Socorro County's wolf resolutions.
Okay.
So the wolves have become a real hassle over there. Mexican wolves are increasingly habituated, aggressive, as evidenced by instances of them stalking children, roaming in and around communities, snatching pets from porches, killing horses and cattle, endangering the public safety of residents and visitors. And the reason they're aggressive and habituated is they've been bred, whelped, fed, tagged, transported, and doctored by human beings, and so they're not afraid of human beings.
Yeah.
And there's some real issues there. And we
I don't care how much they're protected. They come up on a bus stop, little kids, that thing's going down.
Yeah. They passed resolutions explaining the public safety issues that they're encountering in Catron. It's pretty serious stuff over in western New Mexico and Arizona that they needed to make it known. And so this is a resolution in support of that. And it's because those wolves are just getting used to people and they really don't care. We're gonna do wolf stuff.
Yeah, they're supposed to be in the woods. We're supposed to be it's a whole thing.
Thank you. I'm sorry I caused you to not pay the bills.
That's all right. We're good. But thank you very much. We always appreciate the visit, and we'll see you in the fourth week next month too,
yes.
Because of the shift there. So good deal.
If I see the sheriff, I'll remind him.
That's right.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
All right. Bye.
You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, or Roswell, New Mexico News in Progress.
You know, I only put my name behind people and companies I trust. When it comes to mortgages,
everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 866-755-5300. That's 866-755-5300. Again, that's 866-755-5300. Call us right now.
The U.S. State Department has announced it will provide $30 million in funding to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a newly formed aid group operating in the war-devastated Gaza Strip in response to Hamas looting and theft of aid deliveries. The move marks the first direct financial support from Washington for the group, which is managed by the American contractors and works closely with the Israeli military. Describing GHF as the latest iteration of President Trump's and Secretary Rubio's pursuit of peace in the region, a State Department spokesman called on other nations to contribute. GHF claims it delivered more than 46 million meals through protected Hamas-proof sites. I'm Felice Friedson, Town Hall News, Jerusalem.
News and analysis at themedialine.org and townhall.com. Well, there could be a little something extra soon for some online gamers.
Federal Trade Commission is sending out $126 million in refunds to nearly 1 million gamers who were charged for unwanted purchases while playing Fortnite online. The FTC said Wednesday that it's sending about 970,000 checks and PayPal payments to gamers who filed a valid claim. The refunds are part of a settlement over charges that Fortnite developer Epic Games used deceptive practices to trick online players into making purchases they otherwise would not have made. Tasha Stevens reporting.
Former Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband lie in state at the Minnesota Capitol Rotunda. Hortman, her husband, and the family dog were killed in a June 14th attack. The public can pay respects today from noon to 5. Private funeral tomorrow. The suspect charged with murder and attempted murder due in court later today. More on these stories, townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The demolition, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 3.
Tres Inviernos
of Mornings with Mike Winters right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Friday. It smells, looks, feels.
I went outside.
Full on Friday.
It smells like Friday.
It does.
It smells like it out there. It reeks of Friday.
Waft the Friday smells in.
It's emanating from the streets.
That's right.
This is one weekend of calm away from the weekend of chaos.
We got to put our party dresses on and everything next week. So, yeah, this is the...
Have you picked out yours?
I have.
Your party dress?
I have.
Going with something a little skimpy or...
Fishnet.
Oh, I like it.
With a summer dress. It's
The,
really
the
weird.
whole thing fishnet? The whole thing fishnet.
just
Because I feel like that leaves a lot, little to the imagination.
See, I'm going to break rules. I'm going to wear a summer dress with stockings. That's how I roll.
See, I was thinking more like Met Gala style. Like I'm going to show up as like a crane game from like the 1930s.
There you go.
Yeah. Or like a pachinko. What are those machines called that they play in Japan? Is it pachinko? I think that's the name of it.
Maybe, yeah.
It's their way around gambling. They turn in the colored balls at the end and they cash those out.
Yeah, is that what that's called? I can't remember. I keep wanting to say Plinko.
I guess old school slot machines, the way they would get around it and skirt gambling is you'd play, and if you win, you get a piece of candy. You then take the candy up to the cash register and you cash that out. You can trade in your candy for. You can sell your candy.
It's kind of like I don't know if they still do these, but like I remember as a kid, like Elks clubs and things would have Vegas night, and they'd have card games and sometimes slots. Sometimes they got fancied up, but you won prizes. You didn't win money,
right?
Allegedly, but
Well, I mean, isn't that how like Riverboat?
But after a couple of those, and you see the cops shut them down, then I don't think they were given the prize.
Yeah, that's
because that's what usually happened. It happened Vegas night, and then like in the paper, like the next day, it'd be like cops raid Vegas night.
But I thought the way around that was saying it's for charity.
Right. Well, that's just it.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of what's you remember that movie that was it had a bunch of people, and they basically started a casino in their house. Like the guys getting divorced.
Yeah, that.
Was it Will Ferrell movie?
It was. Hang on, I know exactly the movie you're talking about. Like Bunny something. No, hang on.
Yeah, you remember that movie?
Yeah, I do. I vaguely do.
There's a bunch of celebrities in it. I just can't remember any of them.
It was called The House.
The House. Okay.
Yeah, and it was Will Ferrell and is it Amy? Yeah, Amy Schumer.
That's right.
Or Amy Poehler.
Amy Poehler. Yeah. That's right. And then the guy that like his buddy in that.
Jason Mantzoukas.
Yeah, is he? He was a. What other movie?
He's been in like every.
Oh, he was in Bad Grandpa, the one where he's a drug dealer at the surf shop.
Yeah,
that's him.
Yeah,
and there's another show that I used to watch that he was a regular in, and I don't remember it for the life of me right now.
Well, I know him as the voice of I know as one of the voices of the show Big Mouth.
Okay, no, there's a show like Silicon Valley or something
I think he was
of
in,
that level.
I think he was in that.
He was a regular on, and I can't remember.
Let's see if I can pull up his IMDb here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in it. He's like you'll see him. He'd be like, oh, that guy.
Yeah, he's in like he's never the main guy. He's always a side character in the thing, but he's always
The League. He was in The League.
The League. That's right.
Yep.
That's the show I watched a lot. The League that he was in. Yes. He always plays the same character for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, for the
overly Jewish friend.
but always a delinquent in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean?
Well, you don't maintain a beard like he has without getting up to some kind of nefariousness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And plus, he just plays that well. Like he plays that character of like, well, let's just do drugs then. You know what I mean? Like he's that guy.
Right.
Like he plays that role so good.
The harbinger of bad decisions.
Yeah. Well, that's just a minor kidnapping. That's no big deal. You know what I mean? He's just the way he. That's just how he is. And,
yeah. You have to look at life through a series of misdemeanors and felonies.
Yeah.
You have to make the call.
He plays that role so well, and I don't know if that's his real life persona or
One's
not.
got to imagine that there is at least a little an element of truth in most actors.
Oh yeah, there's got to be.
Well, and this is kind of the sad thing for me is you look at somebody like a Ryan Reynolds. I have always loved his character because he always plays the same guy.
Sure.
Handsome, smarmy, quick-witted, but also
friendly.
Friendly, but also under the a couple of layers of friendliness, really mean.
Like he can bag on you, but you still feel you don't feel insulted. You feel like you were worthy, or you like. Oh, thanks, man.
Prime example, him and Van Wilder. I feel like that is like the archetype quintessential Ryan Reynolds character.
Yeah.
Like even if you go back to like one of his first roles, which weirdly I was into the show before I even knew who Ryan Reynolds was. Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
Oh yeah, I remember that show.
Loved
vaguely.
that show.
Yeah. Never really watched it, but I remember it.
I did. And I watched it all the way up until
it spawned into another show, didn't it?
Two Guys and a Girl.
That's right.
Yeah, they got rid of the Pizza Place.
Yeah.
That was the underperforming character. You got to go, Pizza Place. But yeah, no, he I lost my train of thought now that you. Oh yeah. So here's the thing. Then all this stuff comes out about the whole Blake Lively and the director in that movie.
Oh yeah, the lawsuit and all that.
And then you realize, like in some of the stuff that Baldoni, the guy who she's countersuing against, some of the stuff that he's saying about how Ryan Reynolds is just like off, like on the on the set.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's just like that.
Yeah, he's him.
That's just who he is. Now, granted, I've never really watched Welcome to Wrexham,
and
so I don't know him from that side of things.
And I have, and he's that guy again there too.
Is he?
But it's that same role. I'm snarky. I say things that are witty, but I'm still charismatic, and you still like me. And that's kind of
I'll put it this way: nobody could play Deadpool the way he does.
Yeah,
nobody.
I can see that. Yeah.
He is the quintessential Deadpool character.
But I will also admit, I think he's starting to jump the shark a bit. Like,
Yeah?
like I think he's oversaturating himself to a point where people are tired of him.
Well, and I guess it's this Baldoni thing is good for him because
he's making bank. Like, I mean, because
he's been kind of slipping under.
But I mean, I'm not even talking about the acting gigs. I'm talking about his mobile company, the Wrexham stuff, the vodka. I mean, he's in every other commercial.
His
gin, whatever it
his
is, yeah,
aviation
the gin or the booze. He's almost oversaturating himself.
That is sort of like the thing now. It's like you haven't made it until you've got your own liquor.
Yeah.
Like Dwayne Johnson has his
and I think
Terramana, which is one of the things that annoys me so much about like having your brand is fine.
Yeah.
But Rock the Dwayne Johnson lives the Terramana. He'll sit there and have like a glass of tequila with dinner.
Right.
I'm like, come on, dude.
And this is where I think the difference in our generations and the current generation is, like people grew up to be famous. They want to be famous and do famous. Now everybody's a product. Like I'll never forget, and this blew me away, but now I'm like, well, this is the wave. When Robert Griffin III had his heyday moment there in 2012 when he was, and I remember he was like, I'm putting out my logo, my brand, and it was the RG3 stuff, and I'm like, what kind of narcissist does stuff like this?
But
and now that's the way. And so me personally, that was the first time I was like, oh, okay. People are now just building a brand.
You're
They're not their
absolutely
person
right.
anymore.
And that's like you said, this is the way. That is what they're being trained now to do. Is you're not just, growing up and getting a job and becoming a part of the cog of society. You are your brand. And what you do with that, what you make. Logan Paul's a fantastic example of that.
Yeah.
That, he learned early on that if you make mistakes, you've got to live up to them. Like the big one, the Suicide Forest and all that. And, many people still haven't forgotten, but it's one of those things it wasn't a death sentence for him because he got a hold of it early.
Sure.
But
to me, every celebrity interview is turned into NASCAR interviews now. It's like, well, the Bombay gin, it was really good to me. And that's what it sounds like every Hollywood thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like I just remember growing up and like, Harrison Ford, they could talk and you talk to Harrison Ford and you talk about a guy and this and that. Now you talk to Ryan Reynolds and everything's about the phone, this and the brand and this and that, nothing about, and then he'll put a little quirky thing about him and his wife and we gobble it up like, oh my God, so thank you for that nourishing morsel of information, and that's just the world we live in now. It's very weird for me.
So one of the, here's an assignment. And I know it's probably not up your alley comedy-wise, but on Netflix, there's a Netflix special that Bo Burnham put out during the pandemic called Inside.
All right.
Watch that special because there's a lot of kind of what you're talking about in that. There's a song called Content, and the whole first verse is like, I'm miserable. I don't know one day from the other. I wake up, I'm inside. But then the chorus is, Daddy made you some content. And it's basically like, here, I gave you your favorite open wide.
Right.
There's another song in there that's all about like, it's literally called Welcome to the Internet. And it's talking about all the things that the internet was designed to do. And that's imprison all of it. But it's such a like a great introspective look into all the stuff you're talking about. So I recommend checking it out.
I think I will.
It's not your typical Bo Burnham stand-up special. It gets deep.
Nice. Ooh, deep.
Yeah.
Deep cuts.
Gets hashtag deep.
Hashtag deep cuts. All right. We are talking Galacticon this hour. Elaine Mayfield and Lady Wilkins will join us here in a few minutes, and we'll get an update on what's happening at this year's Galacticon, which actually 1 week, like if it was this next week, we'd be right in the middle of it right now. Be like, oh, Galacticon's starting up here in an hour whenever they open up the thing at 10 o'clock or whatever. Yeah, we're a week away.
Full swing from literally being a short walk away from a giant pineapple beverage for $16.
That's right.
Served inside of the pineapple, so you know it's good.
I keep seeing that. I keep seeing this video of this guy that does watermelons, and he'll like blend up the watermelon, turns the whole thing into it. I'm like, I kind of want one of those.
Oh.
Problem is that they do it in like third world countries when they do these videos,
right.
and it's like
and it's always on the street side next to like a bathroom. Like out of context, this sounds great.
Yeah.
When's the last time you washed your hands, dude? Come on.
Right. The flies make an good crunch to the beverage. So, All right, 9:18 here is your weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We could get a shower or thunderstorm today. Our afternoon high will be in the low 90s. We still have a little bit of moist air coming in from the south. Then tonight, some clouds, and our overnight low will be in the mid-60s. We get sunshine on Saturday, mid-90s for the afternoon high. Maybe a shower around Carlsbad, but sunshine everywhere else. Sunny and hot on Sunday. We're in the upper 90s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 73 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 18%. Winds currently out of the south at 6 miles per hour. We do have some rain chances, not like previous rain chances. More like the garden variety rain chances we normally get. We're looking at a 30% chance at afternoon showers and thunderstorms. We're talking after 3 today. Partly cloudy, 87 for a high with south winds 5 to 10. 20% chance of rain tonight, mainly before 9 p.m. So our sweet spot, if we get any moisture, will be between 3 and 9 p.m. Mostly cloudy with an overnight low of 67 and south winds 5 to 10. Saturday, mostly sunny and 94. Winds will be out of the south at 5 to 10. Sunday, sunny and 95. And then beginning Sunday night, we are getting more of that, what do they call it, monsoonal moisture. We're looking at a 20% chance of rain Sunday night. We're looking at a 40% on Monday with a high of 92, 40% on Tuesday, 30% for Wednesday and Thursday of next week. All highs right around 90. It is 9:19. We're going to take a 3.5-minute break, and then we're talking Galacticon on the other side. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
You received a social media message or text from an unknown number. They started a conversation with you, and over time, they earn your trust. Then they encourage you to invest online or buy cryptocurrency. And when you do, they disappear, along with your money. But it can be avoided. The Securities Division of New Mexico's Regulation and Licensing Department can help. Learn to spot the red flags of investment scams at rld.nm.gov/red flags or call 505-476-4580.
Growing things in Roswell is a battle. Your lawn's trying to turn brown, your trees are wanting to turn yellow, the weeds want to take over, and the fleas and ticks are trying to move in. So come down to Roswell Seed Company and choose your weapons. We have fertilizer to make your lawn lush and lovely, iron to keep your trees nice and green, sprays to kill the weeds, and more sprays to chase away the fleas and ticks. This is Ben Manette from Roswell Seed Company. Yeah, it's a jungle out there, except it never rains.
Saddle up for a celebration of the bounty of Lee County during the 89th Annual Lee County Fair and PRCA Rodeo, August 1st through the 9th at the Lee County Fairgrounds in Lovington. With nonstop fun for the whole family, including an arts and crafts showcase, the carnival, concerts, Extreme Bulls event, and PRCA rodeos, the Pioneer Iron Chef contest, as well as the livestock shows, mutton bustin', fiddlers contest, and junior livestock sale, the Yucca building exhibits, plus 4-H and open youth, the flower show, farm and garden, creative arts, the special rodeo, commercial vendors, and of course, the best fair food around. The concert series begins Friday, August 1st with the Hispanic Heritage Celebration and continues nightly Tuesday, August 5th through Saturday, August 9th. Visit LeeCountyFair.net for more exciting news and updates. The 89th Annual Lee County Fair and PRCA Rodeo, August 1st through the 9th at the Lee County Fairgrounds in Lovington. Come celebrate the bounty of Lee County. We'll see you at the fair.
If you're missing a tooth or several teeth, a dental implant may be the ultimate solution. Implants look and feel so much like real teeth that you probably forget you have an implant. Maupin & Brown Dentistry is one of New Mexico's most experienced implant providers, with literally thousands of implant patients who are absolutely delighted with the results. Call Maupin & Brown today for an evaluation. You'll be surprised how affordable implants can be. Maupin & Brown, your choice for experienced, state-of-the-art dentistry.
Lights, camera, action. Get superhero savings during our summer blockbuster sales event going on right now at Roswell 4. Hey Roswell, you don't need to be a hero to pay zero. Drive home a new Ford with 0 down and 0 payments this summer. Plus, at Roswell Ford, everyone gets employee pricing. You heard right. At Roswell Ford, you pay what we pay on our huge inventory of new Fords. Stuck in your loan or lease and want out early? Roswell Ford can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, regardless of make, miles, or condition. Don't let the credit villains keep you from driving your dream car. At Roswell Ford, getting approved is a possible mission, so you can pay what we pay. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to find the best car and get massive American-made savings and the best car buying experience. Get on board at Roswell Ford, because we'll do whatever it takes to make a deal. 821 North Main Street in beautiful Roswell. Call 575-623-3673 or online at roswellford.com. Interest accrues from date of sale on select vehicles. Trade balances refinanced to new loan. Subject to lender approval. Offers not combined.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. The Goodyear Rubber Company researched and concluded that shoes wear out faster on the right foot than on the left. To fix this, just walk backwards for half the day. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 23 minutes after 9 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning, talking Galacticon with us. Of course, Elaine Mayfield is back with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Lainey Wilkins joining us as well. Good morning.
Hello there.
How was I'm saying this to all the UFO and all these folks, but you look pretty rested. You don't look too disheveled.
Actually, I came up my head above water last week. It's funny because you just go crazy getting everything done. But
Absolutely.
The last week or so, it pretty much is
The
settled.
pieces just start kind of falling into place.
Yeah.
We are less than a week away.
Oh, yeah. I got a call this morning on my way here from the UFO car guy.
He's going to fire up the flying saucer mobile and start heading
That's right.
to
Heading
Roswell
Sunday.
here
I think he
Sunday.
said Sunday. So,
Well, hopefully weather cooperates on his journey west.
I do
to join
too.
us here. Because he's coming from like Indiana area, if I remember right?
Indiana,
Yeah. So he'll be hitting. He's got several states he's got to cross and cover, and see how many times law enforcement or various other people pull him over on his way here.
And that's one thing that Lainey is going to do with me is to
you can follow
him down and relay it to you and Don Nickham.
Absolutely.
And,
so we'll be giving updates on the radio, but you don't have to wait for us. If you follow and like the Galacticon Facebook page, those updates will be right there too. As Lainey gets updates from Steve on where he's at or not at, we can get those updates.
And I think his Facebook page is Flying Saucer Car.
Okay.
I think that's what
and
it
that's
was.
another one I encourage you to like and follow if you want to ask him questions or wherever.
Right.
And then, of course, once he's here in town, you'll be able to see him. He's going to be there, parked right in front of Galacticon there.
Right on the main street.
For most of the weekend. He will be in the light parade. I think he might make a few other appearances around town over the course of the weekend.
He'll be with one of the Kremlin Auto dealers. They're one of our sponsors for him.
Okay, so he might be hanging out one of the Roswell Hyundais
Usually
or
we
Hondas.
do that on Saturday till noon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he'll hover, or however he moves around.
Yes, he will hover.
And we'll move on over to the downtown here.
Yes.
But one thing, in case you're just tuning in, this year's Galacticon, it's all new because there's no convention center. So it will be right across from the Roswell UFO Museum there in the old Roswell Furnishings building for folks who've been here a minute. And it'll all be there in the Lazy Boy showroom.
I love it, yeah.
So where we lack in space, we do make up for action-packed. I mean, it's not going to be his room, but there's going to be packed to the rafters, full of booths and activities and events and all kinds.
And very walkable.
And air conditioning.
And you know what, Lainey? That's the most. Just start with that. In an air-conditioned building.
That's right.
Because you know, and I know it's going to be 97 next week because that's what happens at the festival.
That's right. And it may even rain.
Yes. And in the right amounts and doses.
Yep.
Okay with that.
That's right. Me too.
But we will be indoors there, and of course this year. Like you said, it's just like years past. There's going to be tons of great, panel discussions, vendor booths, costume, the cosplay, which we're going to kind of focus on more here with the pets and everything. But the cosplay costume contest, the pet costume contest, all of that is part of this year's Galacticon too. And don't forget, is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday night that you do the Peppers. Thursday night. I was trying to think because now that we started a day earlier, I was like, wait a minute, is it on Wednesday or Thursday? But Thursday night will be the kind of the kickoff, unofficial kickoff
kind of a meet
for
and
Galactica.
greet,
is
karaoke.
The karaoke at Peppers, and of course, all are welcome to that. Generally, that's the vendors and definitely people that are coming into town that they haven't seen since last Galacticon are going to hang out and have a drink and commiserate and chit-chat and catch up. But the public's more than welcome to come and visit and hang out and karaoke
no
with us.
admission or anything.
Come in costume if you want, or don't.
We love it.
Yeah, whatever you feel like doing. Yeah, there'll be a lot of other folks dressed, in costume and cosplay like you. So come on down, and have some fun.
Yeah, then we kick it off.
Yeah. Now, speaking of costumes, the other kind of tradition, and this is, I think, the local hinge or aspect of Galacticon, where a lot of it, the tourists and out of town that come to see the stuff. But like the pet costume contest, I think that's more of a local thing where you get a few out of towners that participate, but this is kind of geared for us locals generally, is the pet costume contest. And it's always, debatably one of the most fun parts to watch because they're animals. Kids and animals do the darndest things, and they're fun to watch every time you put them on a stage or in a spotlight.
We always have several hundred people spread around the courthouse steps is where we hold it.
Oh, it's very popular.
Yeah.
And so if you'd like to participate in this year's pet costume contest, one, you need a pet. That's really and then you need a costume.
And pet is a very broad category.
I'm going to say they're not always dogs or cats.
Okay, last year we had a snail.
Nice.
A rooster.
Okay.
A snake. And we've had a bedazzled bearded dragon.
Wow.
I know. And
I feel like you had to keep the snail away from some of the other pets, or it might end up being a meal.
Well, it wasn't on a leash. It was in
free range.
It wasn't a free range. It was actually two young boys who had come from Ruidoso and lost a lot. It was during, remember the fires?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, they were down in Roswell, and the parents wanted to give them some joy.
Oh,
and
cool.
That's what the kids...
So they kind of decorated the
so
snails?
They went out and
how fun.
Caught stuff.
That's fun.
Yes, and it was very cute.
So I feel like with a snail, you maybe paint the shell, maybe, or something?
He painted it. He put some,
He put pipe cleaner antenna on it,
Yeah,
right?
he did that. And also the rooster had pipe cleaners. Pipe cleaners are very popular.
Yeah.
Well, they can do so many things with pipes.
But
I don't think anybody's actually cleaned pipes with them in years.
That's true. But there are some really clever, very, very clever costumes that we've had in years past. We had a flying saucer with the kind of the bubble you can see
built
through.
around the dog. Or
Right,
cat,
and no, it was big enough to get on a wagon, and inside had all chihuahuas, and they would just keep popping up and popping up.
So that's almost like, remember those toys the kids they push around and they fill a chihuahua?
Most definitely. So very clever. That we also had I don't quite remember what kind of a dog, but it was a dog that they painted to look like a cow, and then over it was a beam coming down from a flying saucer to the dog that looked like the cow.
So they turned their dog into an abducted cow, or being abducted cow.
So clever. These people are nuts.
That's fun.
Yeah. There's the Martian.
Oh yes, and Marvin the Martian.
Oh yeah.
Look at the picture.
Yeah, I see the picture.
Yeah, that is Marvin the Martian.
The dog even kind of has the Marvin attitude look about it.
Definitely does. We know that dog.
I think that dog was in the pop-up too, because same person.
Same energy level.
Yeah.
But this is what this is all about. It's for folks to come have fun with this stuff.
Well, I know many years ago when, like 15 years ago, we had a horse painted green.
Yeah.
It was we were on the lawn at the convention center.
Was that right around the time when the painted horse sculptures were popular? If you remember
it
that?
might have been. Come to think of it, yeah.
All across the state around that time, where they were kind of doing a theme, and that each community had their own kind of painted horse and things like that.
And our friend David dyed one of his big white standard poodles green.
Yeah. And I've always said, paint your poodle green, call her the alien queen, and you too can win money.
There you go. Although, from what I understand, if you want to get more to the UFOlogy guys, you might want to go with a gray. Because they say the green men they were gray. So
yes,
that's
called the Roswell gray. It is a species.
So if you want to get more period correct, maybe go with the gray.
And a lot of them now bring their own music too.
So they got like walk-up music and kind of their whole entrance.
Yes.
And they create a whole
we have a whole backstory. They actually have to give us a backstory, and then Elaine
like the cosplayers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
And I read it from the microphone.
Okay.
And so
everyone creates a little bio for their dog or cat or horse or snail, whatever it is. Kind of like, and this is, which also is part of it, is the cosplay costume. You know, of course, the city's having their costume contest. This cosplay, they're similar but different, and by golly, sign up for both.
Yeah, sure.
But the cosplay contest is more, and we've talked about this earlier, is where cosplayers, generally, they're not necessarily Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker or Captain Kirk or the main character.
It's not a replica.
Yeah. They generally are fictitious people that live in the universe of which these places take. So if they're a Star Wars fan, they're like, okay, well, this guy's like a farmer on the planet Tatooine, or this guy's a trinket salesman in there, or this guy, he's like the guy that fixes the maintenance on the Death Star, whatever it is. You know, it's something. It's something kind of pedestrian in this extraordinary world. And so they create a whole backstory, a character, and kind of how they fit in the universe, kind of thing. And so cosplay is a little bit bigger than a costume contest.
I agree.
It's more of a Chautauqua persona, like you're creating a character. It's almost like for folks that play D&D and stuff, you're literally building like your own real, but instead of creating it on paper, you're building a costume.
And it's fun to talk to them, to try and guess what they are.
Yeah.
Although I'm kind of out of, it's my age. I don't, some of the anime.
As we get older, we tend to get like, you're like, wait a minute, if that was from the 70s, I know it. But if you're hitting me with the 2000s, I'm out.
But typically they're very nice, because I really do. I go, I'm sorry, what are you?
Sure.
And they're love to talk about.
But here's
what
the fun part. I bet you get to hit some of them with stuff that you experienced, and they're like, wow, that's cool. And then you tell them the history, like, to get what you had, we had this. And so to get that, it begat this to that. And that's kind of where. And to be honest, that in a nutshell, that's Galacticon.
Yes.
Like all of that's Galacticon
exactly.
right there is what it is.
And then when you come onto the vendor hall, I mean, there's all these people walking back and forth, and you can see them going, ooh, well, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And they walk over and talk to each other.
Oh, yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah, imagine like if you go to like quilting things or something, everyone's kind of sharing and stealing, trying to copy techniques, it's no different here. And so that's really so. Please sign up for the pet costume contest. You can get as elaborate or as basic with your story as you wish.
Right.
It's entirely up to you.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's
the more fun you have with it, the more fun you'll have with it.
Keep it fun.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Is we just want to have a fun experience and get out there. They do it in the morning early because we don't want to keep the pets out there too hot. And please, if you're bringing your pets out to the festival in Galacticon, make sure you have proper feet protection on them.
Yeah. Yes, I was going to mention that. Very good.
The only place that they really could be barefoot is on the courthouse lawn out there, the actual grass. Once you get on the sidewalks or the roads, even at 10 o'clock in the morning, it gets too hot for them. And I know we have Crystal on for the Humane Society. We were talking to Humane Society earlier.
Yeah.
Just reminding folks all the time is if it's too hot for your feet, it's too hot for your pet's feet.
If you take the back of your hand and put it on the tarmac, and you can keep it there, that's fine.
Then you're fine. Yeah. But during July in Roswell, New Mexico at noon, that's not going to happen.
No.
You fry eggs.
Yeah.
So please be mindful of that. And now I know if you have like little dogs, you can kind of keep them in your hands and laps the whole time here. But some of your bigger dogs, that's not an option here. So make sure you got them protection. I'm sure if you don't have any, I'm sure you can go to Petco or Walmart or any place around town and get it. Or even you can go online right now and still have time by then. If you wait till like next Wednesday or Thursday, you might be out.
Some people will bring a dog that is obviously uncomfortable with the crowd, and that's not good.
It's
not.
If
your pet's not good in heat, like older dogs and things,
or even
that maybe,
just crowds, people,
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Is there's going to be a lot of people out there. So if you do have a pet that doesn't deal well with that, maybe
don't put him through it.
This is not for them.
We do try to separate. That's what I do. I'm separating because we also have cats.
Well, I'm going to say there's a lot of wrangling, a lot of keeping people from fighting. Yeah, it's like, okay, I can't put these two together. These two have to stay.
And everybody says, "Oh, my dog's friendly,"
until they're not. They're friendly to you, but not to people they've never met before.
Yeah, or a snail. Come on.
Yeah, snail. I mean, but snail's not bothering anybody. In all fairness, people are messing with the snail. I mean,
they're slimy.
If you're getting harassed by a snail, that's kind of on you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's all I'm saying.
I do want to mention we have sponsors for this, and I
And big
got to
thank you to
mention
them.
our sponsors.
Please do.
And of course, Roswell Galacticon, the Rio Pecos Kennel Club, of which we're both members.
And they've been part of this for many
several years.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, they've been part of this.
That's one of our outreach programs in the community. And also, this year, we always have a sponsor that sponsors some cash prizes and some publicity, et cetera.
Big thank you to them because that's the draw. That's by the way, you can get money for this stuff.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention that part.
Right.
I mean, we do it for the fun, but yeah, you get a few shekels here to kind of brag. Bragging rights, of course.
And
that's always the big.
So our corporate sponsor is Casa Carencia Animal Health Center.
Oh, okay.
And that's with Dr. Lee Gutierrez.
Okay.
And Furry Life is another business that they work with that's developing some products.
Okay,
so,
very good. Well, big thank you to them.
Yeah, and I thank them very much. For
absolutely.
We actually had 3 people wanting.
Yeah.
2 or 3 that were saying last year, if you ever have an opening, well, we had an opening, so.
Well, we'll always take more money. I mean, you got money to give, we'll take it.
We're happy to have Casa Carencia with us.
That's awesome. That's very cool. And definitely support the people that support our community. I always tell folks that whenever we have these events and you list our sponsors, and, there's a few businesses that no matter where, Crumlin's one of them, that every time, there's an event, their name's attached with it. And that's
right.
Support these businesses that support our community.
Yeah, our other sponsors this year are the Chamber of Commerce, which is helping with and Kremlin with the car,
Yeah,
the UFO car.
They're the UFO mobile sponsors. And
right, and then Dion's Pizza is helping us out, too. So.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm going to take a stab. You might have a slice or two over the course of the UFO festival weekend here.
Yeah, there you go.
Hopefully.
Yes. Yes.
That's another business that does a lot of stuff in our community. And when they're not,
they work with us with the gaming.
Yeah, I know. Like when they're not doing stuff like this, they'll have like community nights, and it's like sometimes it's youth groups or high school teams or something. And so if like you buy pizza between like 5 and 8 p.m. or something, like they donate back to these organizations. They do it almost weekly, and so it's really nice.
Yeah, they've been working with Matt Bromley, our gaming guy.
So they've had probably a few game
doing
nights
some
out
gaming
there.
nights. Yeah. So good. Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you're a gaming fan, Galacticon is that you're definitely going to make sure before you do anything else in the whole 5-6 block radius there, make sure you hit Galacticon and check out.
It'll fill up. Yeah, I think people are just gonna.
Yeah, it's the tabletop and role playing game.
Yeah, if you like Dungeons and Dragons,
yes,
I almost said D&D, but that not everybody knows what that is.
Right.
Magic the Gathering, those type card games or board games or tabletop games.
Yeah, and some of them have very elaborate boards.
Oh yeah,
3D castles.
Yes.
Well, he designs games. That's when he's not running his business and doing things.
Right.
So I would take a stab throughout the course of the weekend. He may bust out one of his, custom games or something.
Yes, he does.
Sure
Taco Party's huge. Everybody loves Taco Party.
That's his. One of his.
Yes, that's Matt's. Yeah, Matt Bromley. We're talking about Wild Bird Games. They're also a sponsor, I should say.
I wonder how that works. Can you in this, because I'm really naive in this world, but I'm like, it's like the end game to say if you get like Parker Brothers to say I want to buy your game. How do they like?
I'll try to get Matt over here and you can ask
maybe
him.
when he does join us on one of our visits. I'd be very curious about that.
Yeah.
It's like, is that the end game, or you're trying to be Parker Brothers? Like, I don't know how that works. Like, are you like, I'm hoping to get my game to Parker Brothers?
We often have several he brings in game masters from the area, and so we bring them in and they run their games and other games, and I know some of them do sell their games there.
Sure.
Matt does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can buy your own copies.
They might be just like selling your own book if
you're
published.
Well, I didn't know if this was like Shark Tank, like where you sell your deal and you're trying to get like a bigger buyer to invest.
I don't know. I've never had that conversation with Matt.
I'd be kind of curious about
that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because I'm thinking like if you create your own game, that's like I'm the inventor of like somebody out there saying I'm the inventor of Candyland or Monopoly or you know what I mean?
Exactly. Or Taco Party.
Yeah, we're talking. How do you get to be that guy? That person.
Well, he also brings in and has a gallery. He also is the expert in Legoland.
Okay.
So we always call him Legoland.
I imagine he's got an infinite amount of patience because a person that sits and decides and is willing to spend thousands of hours to work on, which I get is cool and I very therapeutic for some, but I'm not going to lie. When you see something that's
intricate,
like 6 foot long, like this table, and you're like, yeah, there's about 20,000 blocks in that thing. some one person put all 20,000 of those blocks in.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
he's amazing about that. Yeah, exactly.
That's a patience level of patience I don't have.
The one that we're going to be displaying this year, and so if you come into Galacticon, which is only $5, and that pays our rent.
Absolutely,
we don't make money on this.
And it's to help cover the cost of the
rent.
and if you'd like to, you can get a whole week pass for $25.
Right.
I think that includes a little bit of swag
T-shirt.
too. Yeah,
we get
T-shirt, a little swag for that too.
Yeah.
So,
but he's got a gallery, and it's a 4-story high, like cut in half spaceship that he's built.
That's so cool.
I know, and so we'll have that as well.
I bet he's like that guy. Like, you ever seen like videos online where like someone will take a house and it like sometimes it's like a nice house, like a house that someone paid $500,000 for. And then they'll go in and build like these, like it has vaulted ceilings. They'll build like these big rope gyms and like these hammocks to swing. And cool. like in my head, that looks cool. I never have the wherewithal or the abilities or the,
money.
Yeah, money. Yeah, that's the first problem. but you know what I mean? But I feel like he's one of those guys that if you leave him to the devices and those things, that's the kind of stuff that shows up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's pretty cool. I wish I had that ability. I don't, but I can appreciate it.
And harking back to what we were talking about, the 70s and all, we always have E.J. Wilson is a local author.
Okay.
And he always has a booth. Matter of fact, he's almost always the first person that registers.
Excellent.
But he's written definitive books on Star Trek. He also does fiction now and everything. But people are fascinated by what
he will talk with you. He knows everything about Star Trek. Excellent. I just put him up on Facebook.
Nice. So I imagine that guy spends half his day in arguments. You know what I mean?
Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Yeah.
He doesn't argue though. He really doesn't.
He's just really nice.
He just turns
I just know sometimes it can get. They get into the devils in the details, and they start talking schematics on a ship or something.
You will walk past. I will go all the way down and come back, and the same person still sitting there talking to EJ.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
And because I know growing up, like I'm like a fan of things to a point. Like I'm never embedded. Like I like Star Trek. I very much watch Star Trek. I'm not a Trekkie. I love Star Wars. I watched all the Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Whatever they call themselves. Yeah, whatever they call themselves. I know the things, but I don't embed myself into it. But I know enough to know that, like, I remember growing up and, like, especially when they started in the later 80s and 90s putting out those Star Trek movies with with Kirk and all them. I remember seeing a lot of stuff in bookstores and things about, like, I remember seeing a book that literally was like a Chilton's, those Chilton's manuals. For the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Sure. And it had the schematics and everything else. Like, this thing doesn't exist, but there's literally a blueprint on how to build this bad boy. It blew me away. You know what I mean? And so that I know that it's there. I was never deep enough to actually get into it, but I have friends. And I've always, like, same with Dungeons and Dragons. That's why I'm a radio guy. I'm a master of nothing, a jack of all trades.
Yes.
I know a little bit about a lot of things, a lot about nothing. That's kind of. And so I think you look at Galacticon, and that these are the people that's their world, and they go in there, and so that's what makes it fun. And I think too is it's back to what we were talking about before, where it's also the generational thing, where you get folks our age, a little bit older, and our sci-fi and comic book and our experiences grow up are way different than what kids and younger adults experience today. And so it really is generational. It's just like, you're going to get your boomers and Gen Zs talking about 70s, 60s, and 80s type stuff. And then, your 20, 30 somethings talking about 90s, 2000 stuff. And then you got the young kids, the teenagers that are, with the latest in today's sci-fi. And all of it begats one thing, even though it's all different, but it's all the same. And of course, obviously with properties like Star Wars, where they're turning it into generational, Star Trek too, for that matter, where depending on when you were put on this earth and what era of Star Trek or Star Wars was there, is kind of your favorite jam. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so and so Galacticon kind of puts all that together sometimes in that weird way.
I'm a huge Farscape
fan,
and that's different, whole different thing.
And see, I have an affinity for kind of some of those bad, like medieval yet science fiction-y movies from like the Beastmaster. You remember that movie from the 80s?
Yeah.
Like, I love that kind of stuff, but you ask the average person today, and they look at that movie and think, "Wow, what a creepy movie." But for the 80s, it was good. You got to suspend it. A lot of.
Well, I think you're a fan of Doctor Who, and you talk about the differences over the years.
There's too many of them.
But then you get into Doctor Who, and that's a whole nother thing in and of itself, because I'm sure there's like the American fans and things, but then there's Brits that probably from the very beginning were into it, and they're going to have a different perspective than an American that picked it up whenever it showed up.
Special events are fun to watch on Doctor Who. That at the beginning it's so low level.
Paper mache, a lot of paper mache.
Yeah. Well, and you know, like to be, and that's one of those things I don't know a whole lot about it, but I sure know what a TARDIS is. You know what I mean?
And we have a working TARDIS.
We have a TARDIS.
The door works on it anyway.
Nice. Yeah, it's not going to take you
People
places.
will,
but
that's right.
Well, we'll make a phone call.
Depends what you're doing, but people do come to get a picture taken at the TARDIS.
Yeah, well, it's an iconic. That's
and
the most
we always
iconic
have it
thing.
at our Galactic.
Yeah, so get your TARDIS pics. But yeah, it's really fun. Come, and of course, if you're into comic books and collectibles, there still will be some comic book vendors and other collectibles. So if you're looking for your art, your prints, costuming, accoutrement, all of that will be available here.
And a couple of workshops on cosplay.
The animator for My Giant will be back again this year.
Steve Garcia.
Steve Garcia, I can't remember his name. And he another New Mexico native that went Hollywood and is back teaching his craft and showing his craft and inspiring the next generation of animators.
Really nice.
Yeah.
So if you have aspirations for animation and that type of stuff, you need to make sure you're in there and you're in front of that guy at some
There's
point.
another Albuquerque fellow, Ralph Sanders, that does all kinds of illustrations and posters and on the UFO vein. So very good.
That's the beauty of Galacticon. It really is like if it brings the niche to the general, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and you can go as niche as you want or as general as you want, and it's all good. It's all fun. And,
it's all fun.
And everybody, it's kind of that kumbaya. Everybody, there's no debates on Star Wars, Star Trek, or Power Rangers or Ninja Turtles or whatever it is you're doing debating. You know, this is what it's. Everybody loves everybody. Everybody's celebrating their uniqueness. It's and cosplay really is. It's that chance for folks to be someone else for a minute.
Oh, there are cosplayers that go in on Friday morning and don't come out of costume or a persona until Sunday heading home. Yeah.
And I know, like in some of the other of not necessarily Galacticons, but other events we've had through Galacticon here in town, you know, we've had a chance to interview some of these cosplayers, and literally this is their living. Like, they have their set. Some have multiple costumes and characters, but they literally can make a living going from kind of Comic-Cons to different events around the country.
That's right.
And they make pretty good money. I mean, they eat, and they got, and I know the stuff they're wearing and making is not cheap to put together.
Not. Some of those costumes
thousands of dollars.
Thousands. Exactly.
It's kind of like in its own unique way. Think of like the Native American beadwork and stuff. When you see like some of the headdresses and stuff, and when they truly make it with the bead, it's that level with the cosplay type stuff. Sometimes.
Right.
Or you can have a tinfoil hat. We go both ways.
Exactly. Or you can make it as simple as you want. It's like I'm a robot T-shirt. Walk in.
That's fine.
But that's the beauty of it. But we'd love, please make time to be a part of Galacticon with UFO Festival. Certainly, you pay the $5, and then you can just use it as your I need to cool off point. So you're like, okay, I'm going to run around here and go check out a concert or something. Then I'm going to run back into Galacticon and
you
check
get a
out some booths
wristband for the day. So
then I'm going to run out and go see what's going on over here, and then go cool off back in there. You know,
and again, we're across the street from the UFO Museum this year, so you can go back and forth there.
And while you're going back and forth, some robots, some of the other cool characters, droids and stuff will be a part of this year's Galacticon. So be on the lookout for them throughout the entire weekend.
Right.
You can get your pictures.
501st Stormtroopers.
Yes, the Stormtroopers.
The Dewback Ridge Garrison.
Ooh.
How to say that, you know?
That sounds goofy yet official all at the same time.
Very. 501st.
It's like, I take it seriously, but do I?
It's the 501st Legion Dewback Ridge Garrison.
Wow, that's the official full name. Okay.
Yes.
Well, put it this way. If George Lucas needed a bunch of extras for a movie, they call these guys up, and next thing you know, 100 Stormtroopers show up.
And talk about their cosplay. It's amazing. So
exactly. Yeah, that's very stringent to get into that.
We just want to give everybody the the details on the costume.
Yes, please. I know we got
contest.
sidetracked a little bit. Let's bring it back. Elaine's reeling it in.
Yeah, they can enter online. We have it on our website, which is roswellgalacticon.com.
Yes.
Or they can just, probably the easiest thing would be to download the form, fill it out, and bring it.
Bring it with you on.
We have a lot of people that enter Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Right at the very end.
Yes. Yeah, last minute entries are okay.
Come at 8:30. Yeah,
Put it this
that's
way,
fine.
the thing starts at 9. If you could at least let us know by like 8:30, that would be wonderful.
Just bring the
Try
form.
to make it.
Bring the form
Bring
filled
the form
out.
with
There's
you
no
and-
cost to anything.
Yeah.
It's fun.
All you need is
And
a pet in costume.
Yeah, so you can
basically.
download that. You can also enter at Galacticon on Friday. We're open 10 to
Excellent.
6.
Yeah.
And we could also have down at the Main Street tent.
Okay.
They'll have copies to enter.
Excellent.
But the main thing is to get the form filled out. And then
Excellent.
it's easy just to come in on
And you'll find the
8:30.
Main Street tent. It'll be right on the courthouse lawn there.
Right.
It'll probably be signed
We
and
have,
everything else.
yeah, we do it on the steps of the courthouse.
Yes.
Right.
And that's why they do it at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Before the sun gets hot.
Right.
Usually there's pretty good amount of shade on the courthouse lawn
Oh,
about
yeah.
that time of day.
And it
so.
takes a half an hour maybe.
Yeah.
Well, and every minute of it's fun.
Yes,
Because these guys could plan it right down to the minute, and all that goes out the window the first time the dog walks across the stage. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And that's the fun of it, too. That's
Yeah.
also the beauty of it, because animals don't always want to do what you want them to do. And,
Nope.
and especially if they're, either excited or nervous or any cocktail thereof, which they probably are up on stage with a bunch of people watching them.
Right.
The comedy ensues. That's all I'm saying. Even if you don't have a pet, get out there at 9 a.m. and fill the courthouse lawn and cheer these pets on. If you
Absolutely.
Even if
We
you don't want to
appreciate it.
participate per se, please. If you've never seen the pet costume contest, make it a point to check it out this year. And it'll be Saturday morning, 9 a.m. You can get there
And it's
early.
before the big crowds.
Yeah,
So
it's before the big rush.
Some people are afraid to get
So
messed
if
up
you
with
want to
that.
cut pull chocks as soon as that's okay.
Yeah.
I recommend you don't, because there's a lot of. This is what I always tell people is, like, if you're not into the aliens and the UFO and all that, make the UFO festival your own thing. Like if you love food, make it a food crawl, because everyone comes in with their food trucks and different. You can try foods that you never had before or unique things, and so now tell the tourists to go visit our local merchants, but you who go to El Toro Bravo and Peppers all the time, go
Right.
check out the unusual things that the food trucks will have. And
That's right.
Make it a food crawl. Make it an opportunity. If you love live music, there's going to be practically music all 3 days between the two stages going on
Right.
at every time. Enjoy that part. It's you don't have to like or love or care about aliens to enjoy the UFO festival. And so please make it a point there. And then, like I said, use Galacticon as your cool off thing. You pay your $5, and then whenever you get super hot, time to go see what's going on inside the
Exactly.
Lazy Boy studio.
We love it, Lazy Boy. We both had to learn how to spell it, though.
Yeah. Well, I've seen it like I've literally, because I do scripts for radio and stuff, and I've literally gotten a script from the Lazy Boy, or allegedly from the Lazy, and I've seen it spelled 3 different ways in the script. It could be the LAY-Z-boy. I've seen no hyphens. I've seen
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've seen LEZY boy, and that was not right.
Well, we sure appreciate the UFO Museum letting us use that facility.
Yeah, big thank you. Gee, was curious to, do you know what their future plans
the
for that?
long-term plan is interactive and educational.
Okay,
and
so
that
more
type
of the
of thing.
museum, kind of like probably more of the research center
Yeah,
side. Maybe
but,
they're going to move.
The
Okay.
short-term plan is they let us
Galacticon.
in. They let us in. But they also, that escape room will be here, the alien
That's true.
escape. And they're working on that as we speak.
Yeah, we got the chance to talk to that gentleman last week here.
Yeah.
And
Josh,
that'll be,
I think,
please visit that too. He'll have some
Yeah.
special UFO themed ones this week.
It's right nailed to us.
Yeah, it's-
to the UFO in Roswell.
Yeah, if you're at Galacticon in there, you can't miss it. It'll be,
Yeah,
if you're looking
it's
at the
2
UFO
doors down.
car and everything else, you're right next to it.
Right.
So.
And eventually, they also are looking at a miniature golf, blacklight miniature golf.
I like that.
Yeah.
That look fun.
Some things to do, and that's one thing Josh is pushing, is some things to do a little bit later in the evening.
Absolutely. Yeah, when the sun goes down and you still want to socialize and hang out with friends.
Yeah,
and
and keep
place
those
to-
Stores open.
That's right.
That's what that's all about. is the
Exactly.
best
The
for
more
Roswell.
people down there, the more money those businesses are making. And our Black Friday is UFO Festival.
Yeah.
Like the town, the Roswell Main Street downtown corridor,
When we
Black
were out
Friday
at
is
the mall,
July.
they would say this is like Christmas.
Yeah, Black Friday is
Yeah.
July, not November after
Right.
Thanksgiving. It is.
And the
it is
UFO
July.
Museum's open till 7.
Good. So you can stay late.
Normally at 5. But,
Go to the galacticon.com website to get kind of everything for Galacticon. But if you go to the UFOfestival.com, that's got all the other events, including Galacticons, but all the events. That way you can plot and plan. Like if you're like, okay, I got 3 days, I got to make sure I hit it all. Okay, go to that website. Like, okay, there's a panel discussion at the museum I want to see at this time. Oh, they'll be talking over at Galacticon at this time. Oh, the T-duelings at this time. I want to make sure I miss that or whatever that you can kind of plan your own adventure.
2 things to add to that. The city did a tear sheet, map, and schedule, and it'll be available pretty much everywhere.
Great.
And that's wonderful. And then the Roswell Daily Record does their annual Vision supplement.
Right, as part of the paper.
That Chris Stock does. Fabulous. And it has more information, bios on the talkers and things, but also that schedule.
A little more in-depth.
So, and that's coming out this year early because we've added some things on
So that'll
Wednesday
be in the Wednesday
Thursday.
paper next
It'll
week.
It'll be Wednesday distribution.
So if you don't normally get the Daily Record, make sure you get Wednesdays.
Yes. Go buy the,
so you can get that supplement.
Absolutely. It's well worth it.
Yeah. And that's one you probably want to get an actual paper for.
I would say so, yes.
Not the online version.
Yeah.
But please do that. And then, of course, get ready to have fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And we're all in this together. We have about 5 major groups. The Miniature Museum is also very active with this.
Yeah.
And we can't, since we're on the board, we
are.
have to mention Friday 1 to 4.
There's not going to be any aliens or anything, but the historical
a patriotic
side.
celebration.
Yeah, so if you want to come and have a little country time, lemonade and the grass and enjoying some stuff, that's what we're going to be doing on the 4th.
200 North Lee, right there on the corner of 2nd and Lee.
Yeah, the old JP White House there, the JP White home. That's where we'll be. So, good deal. Well, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll
thank you, Lainey, for coming today.
Appreciate it. We'll see you all next week here too, as we get I think another last-minute reminder before we start.
And I think I'll talk about the vendors and who else coming, so you know where to spend your money.
One last-minute update on where you can eat, where you can buy things, and where you can hang out and get cool stuff.
Yes.
Good deal. Well, thank you,
and then
ladies.
I did talk with the UFO car guy, and I think he's going to be here on Thursday morning.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully no mechanical issues delay that.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, it is 10 o'clock. That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your day. We'll be back on Monday morning. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, or Roswell, New Mexico. Take care. Have a great weekend, everybody.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. Trump administration winning a major legal victory today at the Supreme Court.
Justices ruled that individual judges lack the authority to grant nationwide injunctions, effectively blocking presidential executive orders. It's a big win for Donald Trump, whose agenda has faced multiple roadblocks from district judges. But the 6-3 Supreme Court ruling did not address the constitutionality of the president's restrictions on birthright citizenship. He wants to deny citizenship to U.S.-born children of people who are in the country illegally. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Busy day on the High Court, also upholding a Texas law aimed at blocking youngsters from seeing pornography online. Supreme Court has ruled that Maryland parents who have a